I never thought curiosity could have such a literal price tag, but there I was, staring at my own Bitcoin quote, my hands shaking so badly I could barely keep the cursor on the screen. It all started because I needed money. That's no excuse, I know, but when you're 27, working 3 part-time jobs, and haunted by a student loan like a hungry ghost, desperation makes you consider options you wouldn't normally even look at. My name is Cassius. Yes, my parents were pretentious, and I lived in a shitty apartment in Portland, Oregon, sharing walls so thin with my neighbors that I could hear every argument, every fake orgasm, every pathetic moment of their lives that perfectly mirrored my own. It was March when Thaddeus, a guy in my programming class who permanently smelled of Red Bull and desperation, told me about the deep web. Not the surface of the internet we all know, but the deeper layers where you could supposedly find everything: drugs, weapons, fake identities, and cryptocurrencies at ridiculously low prices. It's like the digital black market, Cass, he told me one afternoon as we waited for Professor Wickham to arrive. But if you know how to navigate it, you can buy Bitcoin at half its real value. You transfer it, sell it on the normal market, and boom, instant profit. So why doesn't everyone else do it? I asked, skeptical. Because most people are cowards, or because they don't know how to get in without leaving a trace. He shrugged. I've done it 3 times. I paid for my new laptop with it. That conversation bounced around in my head for days. 3 jobs that barely covered my ramen and rent. Debts that grew faster than I could pay them off. And there was a possible solution, floating in the darkness of the internet like a buoy in a sea of despair. It took me 2 weeks to make up my mind. 2 weeks of looking at my bank accounts in the red, dodging calls from debt collectors, feeling that knot in my stomach that became my constant companion. Finally, one Friday night at 2:47 a.m., I remembered the exact time because I looked at the clock 1,000 times that night. I downloaded Tor, set up a VPN as Thaddeus had instructed me, and dove in. The deep web isn't like they show it in the movies. There are no skull icons or flashing red screens. It's boring mostly. Plain text forms, cryptic links, way more spam than you'd expect in a supposedly elite place. I browsed for hours, feeling increasingly stupid. What had I expected to find? A neon sign that said, "Cheap crypto here." I was about to give up when I found a link buried in a programming forum. Onyx Market Specialized Services. The name sounded generic, but something compelled me to click. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe it was fate being a son of a bitch. The page loaded slowly, line by line, like a curtain drawing back on something I shouldn't see. It was minimalist. Black background, white text, no images. A side menu listed categories: documents, identities, crypto, services, and at the bottom, almost like a footnote, special listings. I clicked on crypto. The page took forever to load, probably about 30 seconds that felt like 30 years. And then I saw what I was looking for: offers of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Monero, all at prices between 40% and 60% below market value. There were detailed instructions on how to buy, how to transfer, how not to be tracked. My heart was beating so hard I could feel it in my ears. This was real. It could work. I could. Then I saw the banner at the top of the page, flashing softly. Live auction, special listings, 37 active lots, ends in 6 hours. Curiosity. That little word, so innocent. That word that destroyed my life. I clicked. The special listings page was different, more organized. There was a grid of lots, each with a number, a brief description, and a current bid counter. I started reading, thinking it would be more rare cryptocurrencies or maybe stolen credit cards. Lot 12, female, 31, executive, San Francisco, established routine. Starting price, 340 BTC. My stomach lurched. Established routine. What? Lot 23, male, 45, local politician, Chicago. High public exposure. Starting price, 1,200 BTC. No No, no, no. This couldn't be what I thought it was. Lot 35. Couple, ages 28 and 29, no children, Seattle. Socially isolated, ideal for discreet cleanup. Starting price, 780 BTC. Discreet cleanup. I felt the room spin. My sweaty, trembling hands released the mouse, which fell onto the desk with a thud that sounded too loud in the silence of my apartment. This was a marketplace for murders. I was looking at a list of targets for hitmen, with prices and details as if they were products on Amazon. I should have left. I should have closed the browser, formatted my hard drive, thrown my laptop out the window, but I didn't. Because there's something magnetic about horror, something that paralyzes you even as your brain screams to run. I kept scrolling, unable to stop myself. Each lot was a person, or people, reduced to statistics. Ages, locations, habits. Walks alone at night. Travels frequently unaccompanied. Lives in isolated area. Each description was a death sentence priced in cryptocurrency. And then I came to lot 47. At first, I didn't register what I was reading. It was just another set of words on the screen, another anonymous horror my brain was trying to process. But then I saw the full description. Lot 47. Male, 27 years old, single, lives alone. Location, Portland, Oregon. Student in debt, multiple jobs, predictable routine, significant social isolation. Uses public transportation, walks fixed routes. First floor apartment, windows without additional security. Ideal for quick cleanup, low risk. Starting price, 450 BTC. Current bids, 2. Portland, 27 years old. Student in debt, no. It couldn't be. With fingers that barely responded, I clicked on the lot to see more details. The page expanded, and my world collapsed. There were photos. My photos. One of me leaving the apartment building, my building, with my worn backpack. Another walking down the street to the bus stop. A third, blurry, taken through my apartment window. I could see my desk, my laptop, the stacks of books piled against the wall. But the worst part was the attached document, a PDF that listed my entire routine in gruesome detail. Subject leaves, apartment, Tweesy 847, SE Hawthorne BLVD, apt 12, every day at 7:15 a.m. Takes bus line 14 to campus. Classes Tuesday and Thursday, 8 GAU 2 to GAU p.m. Job 1, coffee bean, shifts, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 p.m., 9 p.m. Job 2, University Library, Saturdays, 10 a.m., 6 p.m. Job 3, food delivery, Sundays and evenings vary. Typically returns to apartment after 10 p.m. Little social activity, no pets, no security system, minimal family contact, mother in another state, bi-weekly calls, uncommunicative neighbors, no cameras in the building, standard lock, easy to pick. Every word was correct, every detail was accurate. Someone had been watching me, studying me, documenting my life with the meticulousness of a scientist cataloging an endangered species. How long? Weeks. Months. Panic hit me like a train. My vision narrowed into a tunnel. The air in my apartment, which had always smelled of dampness and stale food, suddenly seemed thick, unbreathable. I jumped up from my chair so fast that it tipped over behind me with a crash, ran to the bathroom, and vomited into the toilet until there was nothing left but bitter bile and pure terror. When I could finally breathe again, I crawled back to the computer. I had to understand this. It had to be a mistake, an impossible coincidence. Maybe there was another 27-year-old Cassius in Portland. Maybe. But no, the photos didn't lie. That was my gray jacket with the worn patch. That was the tree in front of my building with the broken branch I always avoided when I went out. That was me. I looked at the bid counter. It now read 3. The price had risen to 520 BTC. Someone, 3 people, were actively bidding for the right to kill me. My mind raced. Who would do this? Why? I had no enemies. I hadn't done anything. I was the most insignificant guy in the world, a nobody who barely mattered in his own life, let alone someone else's. And how had I ended up on this list? Was it random? Or had I done something, said something, crossed the wrong person without even realizing it? Then I remembered. The programming forum where Thaddeus had mentioned the deep web to me. We had been on a university computer. I had searched for information about Tor, about VPNs, about, oh God, about black markets. What if someone had been monitoring those searches? What if I had targeted myself? No, that didn't make sense. It had to be something else. I forced my terrified brain to think rationally. I needed to get off this list. There was a small button at the bottom of the page. Report error. Request removal. My fingers were shaking so much that I missed the click 3 times before I got it right. A simple form opened. Reason for removal request. Incorrect information. Target already completed. Duplicate other. What the hell did I select? Incorrect information, because I shouldn't be there at all. Target already completed to make them think I was already dead. I chose other and typed in the text field. This is me. I don't know how I ended up here. Please remove this listing immediately. The moment I pressed submit, I knew I had made a mistake. The page flickered. Once, twice. Then it was replaced with a message in red text. Security alert. The subject of Lot 47 has accessed their own listing. Tracking protocol activated. Location verification in progress. Leading bidder notified. Countdown accelerated. Priority delivery in 48 hours. Below, a timer began counting down. 47, 59, 58, 47, 59, 57, 47, 59, 56. I couldn't breathe. The walls of my small apartment closed in on me. I had done exactly what I shouldn't have done. Instead of saving myself, I had just confirmed that I was the target, that I was alive, that I knew about the auction. And now they had a deadline, 48 hours to kill me. The bid counter exploded. In the next 30 seconds, I saw the numbers change from 3 to 8 to 15 to 23. The price skyrocketed: 600 BTC, 850 BTC, 1200 BTC, 1800 tiers BTC. It was like watching my own life being turned into a hot commodity. Each new number represented someone who wanted to pay a hitman to finish me off. And the price was rising not because I was worth more, but because now the job was more urgent, more exciting. A target aware of his own imminent execution. I closed the browser with frantic hands. I turned off the laptop. I unplugged it. As if that could undo what I had just done, I sat in the darkness of my apartment, illuminated only by the orange glow of streetlights filtering through my cheap curtains. I could hear my own heart, boom, 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 a metronome marking the time I had left. 48 hours. I looked at the clock on my wall, 4:23 a.m. In 2 days, at this same time, I would be, what? Dead. Gone. The words, ideal for quick cleanup, echoed in my head like a horrible, catchy song. I had to do something. Call the police. Yes. That's what you did in situations like this, right? I picked up my phone with clumsy fingers. I dialed 911. I waited while it rang. 911. What is your emergency? The operator's voice was professional, even bored. A woman who had heard it all. I need help. There are people who want to kill me. Sir, are you in immediate danger? Can you see your attacker? No, that's not it. I found a website where they're auctioning off my murder. There are photos of me, my address, everything, and now they have 48 hours to... Silence on the other end. Then, sir, have you been consuming any substances tonight? No, this is real. I went on the deep web and there's a marketplace where they make murder contracts, and I'm listed there. And, sir, I need you to calm down. Can you give me your name and address? I gave him my information, the words coming out in a rush, tripping over my tongue that suddenly felt too big for my mouth. Okay, Cassius, I'm going to send a unit to talk to you. In the meantime, is there anyone with you? Any family or friends? No, I live alone. Don't you understand? You have my address. You know where I live. If you send a patrol here, it will only confirm that this is my actual location. You're probably watching me right now. You could... Sir, try to breathe. The unit will arrive in approximately 15 minutes. Please stay on the line. I hung up. I couldn't wait. Every minute I spent in that apartment was another minute closer to death. If they were watching me, and the detailed PDF suggested they had been for weeks, then they already knew I had discovered the listing. They were probably looking at my window right now, waiting to see what I would do. I crawled away from the windows, keeping low, feeling equally ridiculous and terrified. I crawled to my room like a soldier in a war zone and started packing. Clothes, documents, my wallet, my phone charger. Essential items stuffed haphazardly into a backpack. My hands shaking so much that I dropped half of what I was trying to pack. Where would I go? I didn't have much money, maybe $300 in my account. Not enough to run far, not enough to hide for long. And then what? Even if I escaped Portland, how long would it be before they found me again? The listing had mentioned my social media use, my emails, everything. In the digital world, there was nowhere to hide. I was finishing packing when I heard the sound. A soft click, metallic, familiar, the lock on my front door. I froze. Every muscle in my body tensed to the point of pain. I held my breath, praying I had imagined it, that I had confused the sound with the building creaking or a neighbor in the hallway. Another click, louder this time. Someone was picking the lock. The PDF file had said, "Standard lock, easy to pick." Oh God. Oh God, oh God, oh God. I moved, fast and quiet as I never thought I could move. My room had a window that looked out onto the back alley. A rusty metal fire escape ran down the side of the building. I had never used it, always assuming it was too old and dangerous. Now it was my only option. I opened the window, trying to be quiet, but the old frame creaked like an alarm. It didn't matter. I heard the front door open, the soft groan of the hinges I had been putting off oiling for months. Someone was inside my apartment. I jumped out the window, onto the fire escape. The metal was cold under my bare hands, and when my weight fell on it, the whole structure shook alarmingly. For a terrifying second, I thought it would break away from the building, sending me 3 stories down onto the concrete. But it held. I started down, my bare feet slipping on the metal steps. I'd left my shoes inside. It didn't matter. Nothing mattered except putting distance between me and whoever had broken into my apartment. I reached the 2nd floor when I heard the scream from above. It wasn't a scream of surprise or confusion. It was a scream of frustration. They had seen me escape. I jumped the last few feet, landing hard in the alley. Sharp pain shot through my ankles, but I didn't stop. I ran, my backpack banging against my back, my bare feet stepping on broken glass and trash, not caring. I just ran. The alley led to a side street. It was almost 5 in the morning, too early for much traffic, but late for nighttime drunks. The streets were eerily empty. Every shadow seemed to hide a threat. Every parked car could contain someone waiting. I kept running aimlessly, just getting away. My lungs burned. My feet left bloody footprints on the pavement, but terror was better fuel than any adrenaline. I don't know how far I ran. Blocks. Miles, maybe. Finally, when my legs simply refused to carry me any further, I collapsed into a dark doorway between 2 closed commercial buildings. I curled up there, hugging my backpack, trying to be invisible, while my heart hammered against my ribs hard enough to break them. My phone vibrated in my pocket. A message from an unknown number. Lot 47 in motion, tracking active. Current winning bid, 2,300 BTC. You can't run far enough, Cassius. The timer is still ticking. I stared at the screen with eyes that couldn't open any wider. How did they have my number? Of course, it was in the file. Everything about me was in that damn file. And then, the worst. The message included an attached photo. I opened it with trembling fingers. It was me, right now, in this doorway. The image was taken from above, as if from a nearby building or perhaps a drone. In the darkness before dawn, illuminated only by the light from my own phone, my face glowed pale and terrified. They were watching me. Right now. I threw my phone as if it were burning. I bolted from the doorway and started running again, but this time without purpose. Just panic in motion. Every dark window could hide a sniper. Every passing car could swerve and run me over. Every person I saw, a homeless person pushing a shopping cart, a night worker waiting for a bus, could be the hired killer. The sun was beginning to rise, painting the Portland sky with shades of pink and orange that seemed obscenely beautiful for the horror I was experiencing. The city was waking up. More cars, more people. Did that make me safer or less safe? Witnesses or cover for a killer? I saw a police station small, a substation in a neighborhood I didn't recognize. I ran toward it like a castaway toward dry land. The door was locked. A sign read, "Hours, 8 a.m., 6 p.m. It was 5:47 a.m. I knocked on the door anyway, with my fists, with my palms, with my forehead eventually, letting my desperation be stronger than my dignity. "Please, someone, I need help. They're going to kill me." No one answered. The building was dark, empty. I slumped against the door, letting myself fall until I was sitting on the cold step. My bare, bloody feet stretched out in front of me. My backpack crumpled against my chest like a pathetic shield. How long had it been? I looked at my wrist, but I'd forgotten my watch. 2 hours since I'd run away. 3. The timer was still running. 45 hours. 44. 43. A car pulled up in front of the police station. An old, black, unmarked Crown Victoria. My heart stopped. The driver's door opened. A man got out. Tall, medium build, maybe 50 years old. He was wearing jeans and a leather jacket. There was nothing particularly threatening about him, but every cell in my body screamed danger. He looked at me. Our eyes met. He smiled. That smile. It wasn't malicious or cruel. It was professional. The smile of someone who had found what they were looking for. The smile of someone doing their job. I stood up, unsteadily. My legs were jelly. The man took a step toward me. "Cassius?" His voice was soft, almost friendly. I didn't answer. I couldn't. My throat was closed. "I know you're scared. It's normal. But this doesn't have to be difficult. We can make it quick, painless even." I started to back away. He kept coming, keeping the distance between us constant. "There's nowhere to go, kid. You know that, right? We found you once. We'll find you again, and again, and again, until the job is done." "Who hired you?" The words came out like a croak. "Why?" "Does it matter?" He shrugged. "Business, nothing personal." "But I haven't done anything." "Probably not." He took another step. "They rarely have. But that's not my problem. My problem is completing the contract. And your problem," another step, "is that you're in the way." My back hit the wall of a building. I had nowhere to go. The man reached into his jacket. And then, miraculously, another car pulled up. A taxi. A woman in a nurse's uniform got out, probably finishing her night shift. She saw me, saw the man, read something in the scene she didn't like. "Everything okay here?" she asked, her voice sharp. The man froze. He looked at me. He looked at the woman. Calculating. "My friend had a rough night," he finally said, his tone casual. "I just came to pick him up." "He doesn't look like your friend," the nurse replied, pulling out her phone. "In fact, it looks like you're afraid of him." For a moment, I thought the man was going to kill us both. I saw the calculation in his eyes. But then he saw movement further down the street. More people. The day moving forward. Too many witnesses. "See you soon, Cassius," he said. He got back in his car, started it, and drove away. The nurse, her badge said Thalassa, a name I would never forget, helped me to my feet. "Thank you," I whispered. "Thank you, Do you need me to call someone? The police?" "The police? What would I tell them?" "Someone wants to kill me over an auction on the deep web that can't even be traced." It would sound insane. I'd tried calling before. The operator had acted like I was hallucinating. "No, I just need to get out of town, far away." She looked at me with concern but nodded. She gave me $40 she had in her pocket. "For shoes and a bus," she said. "Take care, kid." She left, and I was alone again. But her $40, combined with what I had, gave me options. Not many, but some. I found a Walmart store that was open 24 hours. I bought cheap shoes, a hoodie, and a prepaid phone. I threw my old phone, clearly it was being tracked, into a trash can. Then I went to the Greyhound bus station. A ticket to, "As far as $250 will take me," I told the clerk at the counter. A young guy with acne and an expression of terminal boredom. "Specific destination?" "No, just this one. Inland, away from the coast." He looked at me strangely but didn't ask any questions. "I can send you to Boise, Idaho. $243 leaves in 2 hours." "Perfect." I sat in the bus station watching every person who came in. The man in the Crown Victoria had said they would find me again. I had no doubt, but at least now I was on the move. Harder to track. Harder to... My new phone vibrated. No, wait. That was impossible. No one had this number. I had just bought it 20 minutes ago. I took it out with trembling hands. A text message. Unknown number. New phone. Smart. But Thalassa Reeves, 5-847 NE Alameda, St. Apt 304, is also now in the system. Collateral for interference. Starting bid, 200 BTC. Do you want her to pay for helping you, Cassius? 'Cause that's up to you. Stay put and accept the inevitable, and she lives. Keep running, and she's next. The air left my lungs. The nurse who had helped me. Thalassa. Now she was in danger because of me. How had they gotten my new number so quickly? Unless they were monitoring Walmart's security cameras. Unless they had access to purchase records. Unless they were everywhere, seeing everything. I had to warn her. But if I called her, if I went to her apartment, I would only confirm her address. She could already be in danger, or it could be a trap to make me reveal that I knew about her. I was paralyzed. Any action could kill her. Any inaction could kill her. I was trapped in a game where every move was the wrong one. My bus was announced, boarding for Boise. I sat there, staring at my phone, staring at the door, unable to decide. If I got on the bus, Thalassa would probably die because of my cowardice. If I didn't, I would die, and she probably would too. The timer was still ticking. 42 hours. 41. Finally, I got up. I walked to the bus door. Each step felt like wading through wet cement. The driver scanned my ticket. I climbed the steps. I found a seat in the back. The bus pulled away, taking me out of Portland and eastward toward Idaho, toward... what? There was no real escape. I knew that. If they could track my new phone minutes after I bought it, if they could put Thalassa in their system just for talking to me, then there was no safe place. But I had to try. I had to... The bus stopped abruptly. We hadn't even left the station. The driver opened the doors. 2 police officers boarded. "Cassius Thorne," one of them asked, looking around the half-empty bus. All eyes turned to me. I couldn't deny it. I raised my hand slowly. "We need you to get off the bus, sir." "Why? What did I do?" "Just get off the bus." The other passengers were murmuring. Some were taking out their phones, recording. An elderly woman was looking at me with disgust, as if I were a confirmed criminal. I got off. The officers escorted me out of the station toward their patrol car. "Am I under arrest?" I asked. "No. But we received a call about an individual matching your description, possibly in psychological distress. Have you been using drugs, Cassius?" "No. Listen, I need to get out of town." "Someone is..." "We've heard. You called 911 earlier this morning with a story about a murder website, correct?" "It's not a story. It's real. They're going to kill me. They have 39 hours to do it. The clock is..." "Cassius." The older officer, Quinlan, his badge said, put a hand on my shoulder. "Breathe. When was the last time you slept? I don't know. Yesterday. The day before yesterday. What does it matter? It matters because you look exhausted and scared and a little paranoid. Have you considered that maybe what you saw on the internet wasn't real? There's a lot of fake content out there. Trolls, fake news, pages designed to scare people. It wasn't fake. There were photos of me. There were photos you could have uploaded yourself at some point on social media or... No, listen to me. My voice cracked. I could hear myself sounding hysterical, even insane, but I couldn't stop. Someone broke into my apartment early this morning. I had to escape through the fire escape. Then a man found me, said it was a contract that he was going to kill me. He only stopped because there was a witness. And now she's in danger too because she helped me. Thalassa Reeves. You can verify it. You can... We already went to your apartment, Quinlan interrupted. After your 911 call, the door was locked. No signs of a struggle. Your neighbors didn't hear anything unusual. Because I escaped. Because I went down the fire escape is rusted and broken. The landlord confirmed it hasn't been used in years. It wouldn't support the weight of an adult. I fell silent. What? I'd gone down there, hadn't I? Look, kid, Quinlan sighed. I know this feels real to you, but I think you need to talk to someone, a professional. We can take you to a hospital, get you checked out, no charge, no questions asked. I'm not crazy, I whispered. No one said you were. But lack of sleep, stress, the debts you mentioned, all that stuff can play tricks on your mind, make you see connections that aren't there. I felt like I was underwater. The voices sounded distant, distorted. Was it possible? Had I imagined everything? The listing, the man, the message about Thalassa. But no. No. My phone. I had the messages. I could show them to him, and I took my new phone out of my pocket. I unlocked it. I went to messages. Empty. There was nothing. No threatening messages, no photos, no address for Thalassa. Just the empty message history of a new phone. No. They were here. I saw them. 10 minutes ago they were... But even as I said it, doubt crept in. My head was throbbing. I hadn't slept in... How long? The last 36 hours were a blur of terror and adrenaline. Was it possible that I had hallucinated the messages? That I had seen what I expected to see on an empty screen? The officers exchanged glances. That look. The one that says, "We have a 5150 here. Come with us," Quinlan said gently. "We're going to help you." I let myself be led to the patrol car. What else could I do? My own mind was betraying me. I couldn't trust what I saw, what I remembered. But then, as I sat in the back seat, unhandcuffed notably, because I wasn't a criminal, just a madman, I saw something in the building across the street from the bus station. A figure in a third-floor window, looking down, holding something. Binoculars, perhaps, or a camera. The figure raised a hand, a wave, deliberate, mocking. I blinked. When I looked back, the window was empty. The officers sped off, taking me to a psychiatric hospital, an evaluation. I wasn't sure. I let it happen because fighting would only confirm their diagnosis. But in my pocket, my phone vibrated. I didn't take it out. Not in front of the cops, but I felt it. Real and solid. Another message. It had to be. I waited until we got to the hospital, until they processed me, until they left me alone in a small evaluation room with white walls and a motivational poster about talking it out. Then I took out my phone. A new message. Unknown number. Nice try. But Thalassa doesn't have much time. 36:47:22 on your watch. 4:15:08 on hers. Decide quickly, Cassius. Who dies first? Attached was a photo of Thalassa, in her apartment, sleeping in her bed, unaware of the camera watching her from somewhere in her room. And in the lower corner of the photo, barely visible, a timer. 4 hours, 15 minutes, 7 seconds. No. This couldn't be happening. The cops had said I was hallucinating, that none of this was real. But the phone was real. The photo was real. Unless it wasn't. Unless my broken brain was making it all up, showing me nightmares on a blank screen. How could I know what was real? A psychiatrist walked in. Dr. Ives, his name tag said. A middle-aged man with a gray beard and tired but kind eyes. Cassius, the officers told me what happened. How are you feeling? I don't know, I replied honestly. How do I know if any of this is real? Good question. Reality can be complicated when we're under extreme stress. Tell me about what you've been experiencing. I told him everything. The listing, the auction, the messages, the Lhasa, the man with the Crown Victoria, everything. My voice sounded flat, even to my own ears, disconnected, as if I were recounting the plot of a movie rather than my life. Dr. Ives listened without interrupting. When I finished, he nodded slowly. That sounds terrifying, he said. Not, it sounds fake, or it sounds impossible. Just terrifying. Do you believe me? I asked, almost not daring to hope. I believe your fear is real. Whether what causes it is real, well, that's a more complicated question. Cassius, when was the last time you ate anything substantial, or slept for more than 2 hours straight? I don't know. Days. The human brain isn't designed to function without fuel. Without sleep, it can start to fill in gaps, create patterns where there are none, see threats in innocence. So you're saying I'm crazy? I'm saying you're exhausted and scared. And those two things together can play incredible tricks on our perception, but he paused. I also know that paranoia isn't always unfounded. Sometimes people really are in danger. So what do I do? First, you rest. We'll watch you here tonight. If when you wake up you still think you're in danger, we'll call someone more qualified to investigate. Cybercrime detectives, perhaps. People who can verify whether that website really exists. It sounded reasonable. Too reasonable for someone in the middle of a murder conspiracy. But he was also so tired. They gave me a bed in the observation wing. A small room with a reinforced window and a door that couldn't be locked from the outside. It wasn't a prison, they assured me. Just a precaution. I lay down, still fully clothed, holding my backpack to my chest. The clock on the wall read 2:34 p.m., 33 hours on my timer, 4 hours on the Lhasas. Or were they just imaginary numbers in my broken head? I closed my eyes. Just for a moment, I told myself. Just to rest. I woke up with a scream. Dark. Everything was dark. How long had I been asleep? My phone. Where? I found it lying next to the bed. The screen was cracked. I must have dropped it while I was sleeping, but it still worked. 5:47 a.m. I'd slept for over 15 hours. 29 unread messages, all from the unknown number. I opened them with numb fingers. Each one was a photo. The Lhasa, through her day yesterday, leaving her apartment, at work, at the hospital, buying coffee, returning home. Each photo time-stamped, every hour documented, and the last message sent at 5:45 a.m., 2 minutes before I woke up. The Lhasa Reeves, 000, complete, regrettable but necessary collateral. Your turn, Cassius. 18:23:14 remaining. No more interruptions, no more running, except the inevitable. Attached. One last photo. Thalassa's apartment, her bed, the shape under the sheets, a dark stain spreading from where her head should be. I vomited. Right there, on the floor of my hospital room. The entire empty contents of my stomach came out as I sobbed and shook. They had killed her. For helping me. For giving me $40 and drawing attention to a strange man. She had paid with her life for a moment of human decency. And it was my fault. I got up, unsteadily. I had to get out. I had to... What? Run again. Hide? Go to the police with photos of a corpse they would probably think were fake. My room door was ajar. I stepped out into the hallway. Silence. Too much silence for a hospital. Where was everyone? I walked down the corridor, my cheap shoes squeaking on the linoleum. I passed closed doors, dark windows. The observation wing seemed deserted. Then I heard voices. Ahead, coming from what appeared to be the nurse's station. "He can't just leave. He's under psychiatric evaluation." "I understand, but he's an adult. He's not being held. If he wants to leave, he can." I peeked around the corner. 2 nurses and the man from the Crown Victoria, dressed differently now, casual clothes, a hoodie, jeans, but it was him. I recognized him. The way he stood, the tilt of his head. He was talking to the staff, pretending to be, what? A family member? A friend? One of the nurses saw him, saw me. "Mr. Thorne, you're awake. Your cousin was asking about you." "He's not my cousin," I said. My voice came out barely a whisper. "Excuse me." The nurse leaned forward. "He's not my cousin. I don't know who he is, but he's not—" "Cass, come on," the man smiled. That same professional smile. "I know you're confused, you've been stressed, but Mom's worried. Let me take you home." "I don't have a cousin," I insisted, backing away. "And my mother lives in Minnesota. He's lying. He's the one." "His condition includes paranoia," the man said softly to the nurses. "He believes strangers are following him. That's why he's here." The nurses looked at me with pity. That look again. The madman who doesn't know he's mad. "Maybe we should call Dr. Ives," one said. "Please," the man, the killer, nodded. "I want Cassius to be comfortable with this. I'm not going to force anything." But his eyes told me otherwise. They told me, here, in the hospital, in front of witnesses. I can make it look natural. A suicide. A collapse. No one will question the death of an unstable psychiatric patient. I turned and ran. Behind me, screams. The nurses. The man. But I ran, through hallways that all looked the same, looking for an exit. Any exit. I found a fire escape. I went down, jumping steps using the railing to propel myself. 4 floors. 3, 2. The exit door at ground level had a sign. Emergency. Alarm will sound. I didn't care. I kicked it open and stepped out into the cold Portland dawn. The alarm howled behind me, but I kept running. No plan, no destination. Just away, always away. The streets were starting to fill with people going to work. Morning traffic, buses, normality. Everyone living lives where there were no timers counting down to their death, where strangers weren't bidding for the right to kill them. My phone vibrated. I didn't want to look at it, but I did. 17 of 5803. Impressive persistence, but it's tiring. Aren't you tired, Cassius? Just imagine. Stopping. Letting it happen. Quick. Painless. Better than this endless agony, right? And then another message. Or we can drag it out. Make it last. Your choice. Cooperate now, and it's quick. Keep running. And when we finally catch you, and we will, we'll take our time. I promise. 17 hours. Just over half a day. How much further could I run? My body was already failing. My feet were bleeding again through my cheap shoes. Every breath was a knife in my lungs. The world spun at the edges of my vision. But more than physical exhaustion, it was mental exhaustion. Every shadow was a threat. Every person a potential killer. Every corner a potential ambush. My brain was on edge, running on terror and nothing else. I couldn't go on like this. Something had to change. An idea formed, terrible, desperate. But maybe the only option left. If I couldn't run from them, if I couldn't hide, if the police wouldn't believe me and the hospitals would only lock me up, then I needed to face them. I needed to go back to where it all started. I needed to go back to that website. And this time, instead of trying to remove myself from the listing, I needed to use it against them. But to do that, I needed a computer, and time, and a place where they wouldn't find me for at least the next 17 hours. I looked around, getting my bearings. I was near the Pearl District. I knew a 24-hour internet cafe there. Small, dark, frequented by nighttime programmers and gamers. The kind of place where no one would ask questions about a broken, paranoid guy paying cash for time on a computer. I walked, staying on busy streets, using the crowd as a shield. Every time a black car passed, my heart stopped. Every time someone looked at me twice, I prepared my legs to run. But I made it. The cafe had a flashing neon sign, Bite Night. Inside, it smelled of burnt coffee, unwashed bodies, and the ozone of too many overheated electronics. The employee at the counter, a guy with green-dyed dreadlocks and more piercings than visible skin on his face, barely looked at me. "Station 5, he said after I paid. "You have 3 hours." I sat down at the computer, hands on the keyboard, the cursor blinking on the screen like a heart. This was stupid. It would probably get me killed faster, but I had nothing to lose. I opened Tor. I navigated back to Onyx Market. The page loaded, dark and minimalist as before. But this time, instead of going to the listings, I looked for something different. Administrator contact. I found it buried in an FAQ section. For complaints, disputes, or new business, adminionics.dark. I opened my email on the deep web, encrypted, anonymous, and started typing. To the Onyx Market Administrator, I am Lot 47, Cassius Thorne. I know this isn't standard procedure, but I have a proposal. Someone put me up for auction. I don't know who or why, but I've been on the run for almost 2 days, and I've realized something. I'm not going to survive. You will win. The hitman will complete his contract. But here's the thing. Wouldn't it be more interesting if the target participated? If I helped? I have information about my own location, about my movements, about where I'll be in exactly 12 hours. I can make this easy for the winner. No chases, no fights. I'll just show up. In return, I only want one thing: the name of the person who started my listing, who put me here in the first place. I want to know who and why before I die. Deal. Lot 47. I pressed send before I could change my mind. Then I waited, staring at the screen, refreshing every 30 seconds. 5 minutes passed, 10, 15. Then a reply. Lot 47, unusual but intriguing proposal. However, I have questions. How do I know you won't try to trick me? Police, etc. What makes you think you deserve that information? Why should I intervene in a contract already in progress? Convince me. A. My fingers flew over the keyboard. 1. Trick for whom? I already tried the police. They didn't believe me. And even if they did, what are they going to do? Your site is impossible to trace. You win either way. I don't deserve anything. But I'm going to die knowing that someone, somewhere, hated me enough to pay for my death, and I'll never know who or why. That's torture. And if you're going to kill me, at least let me understand why. Because I'm an anomaly. The only target who has seen his own listing. That must be rare. Maybe entertaining for your audience. I can make it worthwhile. I can live stream my final location. Bidders can wager on method, exact time, whatever they want. Turn my death into an event. More money for you. All I ask for is a name. That's all. Lot 47. Another wait. Longer this time, 20 minutes, half an hour. Then, Lot 47. You've caught my interest. Live streaming is novel. It could attract new customers. Prove our product is real, not a scam. But the name you ask for, there are reasons why customers remain anonymous. Breaking that sets a bad precedent. However, I can offer you a compromise. I'll give you enough information to find out the rest yourself. Clues. And if you're smart enough, you'll have your answer before the end. Accept these terms, and you have a deal. Reject, and the contract proceeds as is. No further negotiations. A. Clues. It wasn't what I wanted, but it was better than nothing. And honestly, what choice did I have? I accept. What do you need from me? Lot 47. The response was almost immediate. Location where you will be in exactly 12 hours. Details about the site, how to get in. Any weapons, sure as security. Once confirmed, you will receive your clues. Don't try to play games with me, Lot 47. If this is a trap, you won't be the only one paying. A. That last comment chilled me. Who else would they hurt? My mother, Thaddeus, anyone who had ever spoken to me. But I was committed now, I thought. 12 hours from now would be around 8 p.m. I needed a place, isolated but not suspicious, somewhere a murder could happen without immediate witnesses. An idea formed, terrible but perfect in its horrible way. Location: abandoned warehouse in the St. John's Industrial District, specifically 84 and Burgard Street. 2-story building, former textile factory, closed 3 years ago. No security, broken windows, multiple entrances. I'll be on the 2nd floor, northwest corner. There's an old office there overlooking the street. I'll arrive at 7:45 p.m. I'll wait. No weapons, no tricks, just me. Now, my clues. Lot 47. I didn't know if I would actually go to that warehouse. Probably not. This was just to buy time, to get information, but I had to sound convincing. The response took 10 minutes. Verifying location, confirmed. Suitable. Your clues, as promised. The client who initiated your listing did so exactly 47 days ago. Not from Portland, but from a city 2,147 miles away. The person has never met you in person. All of their information about you came from digital records they compiled themselves. The initial amount they paid to list you was precisely 20 USD converted to Bitcoin. Not thousands, not hundreds. $27. Their username in our system contains exactly 8 characters. The letters correspond to a sequence you would find on a QWERTY keyboard if you typed from left to right in the center row. They know you, but you don't know them. Yet. Enough. Solve your own riddle, Lot 47. See you at 8 p.m. A. I read the clues over and over, my brain trying to process. 47 days ago. 2,147 miles. $27. 8 characters in the center row of the keyboard. ASDFGHJK. Was it a username? ASDFGHJK, or was it another sequence? DFGHJKL, SDFGHJKL, and $27. $27. I was 27 years old. Lot 47. 47 days. Was it symbolism? A message. 247 miles from Portland could be New York, Miami, further away. They know you, but you don't know them. Online acquaintances, someone from gaming, social media, online classes during the pandemic. My computer time was running out. 3 hours were almost up, but I couldn't leave. Not until I figured this out. I paid for 3 more hours. The employee with green dreadlocks didn't even blink. I started searching. I checked old messages, social media accounts I had abandoned, gaming forums, any place where I might have interacted with someone 47 days ago. Then I found it. A post on Reddit. A subreddit about student debt. I had made a venting comment about my financial situation, about how 3 jobs weren't enough, about how sometimes I thought it would be easier to just disappear. The post was 48 days old, and there was one reply, a user named DFGHJKLM, 8 characters from the center row of the keyboard. His comment read, "I completely understand. Sometimes I feel like some people just shouldn't exist. They make the world harder for everyone else." I had replied with, yeah, like me probably. And he had replied, "Exactly like you." At the time, I thought it was a dark joke. 2 strangers on the internet engaging in nihilistic humor. But it wasn't a joke. It was a statement of intent. I checked DFGHJKLM's profile. Only 3 posts besides our exchange. All in various obscure subreddits about anti-humanist philosophy, about how humanity was a cancer, about how some lives were literally not worth living, and their location. Not listed, but one of their posts casually mentioned the weather in Boston. 2,043 miles from Portland. Close enough to 2,047 considering the margin of error. I had found my killer, not a personal enemy, not someone I had hurt, just a random stranger on the internet who had decided based on a throwaway comment that I didn't deserve to live. And he had paid $27 probably all he had at the time to start my listing. The market had done the rest, inflating the price as other bidders joined in, turning a stranger's nihilistic whim into a crowd-funded death sentence. I laughed. I couldn't help it. A hysterical, broken laugh that finally made the clerk look at me with concern. All of this, Thalassa dead, me running for my life, the terror of the last 2 days, because I had made a stupid joke on Reddit to a psychopath. The universe had a cruel sense of humor. I glanced at my watch. 6:43 p.m. Just over an hour until I was supposed to be at that warehouse. Would I go? Would I really turn myself in? The rational choice was to keep running. Use these last few hours to get as far away as possible. Maybe steal a car, drive to Canada, get lost in some border town where no one knew me. But I was so tired, so completely exhausted from existing in constant terror. And part of me, a sick, broken part, wanted to see how it ended. I wanted to look into the eyes of whoever came to kill me and ask them, why? For $27. For a Reddit comment, was I worth so little? My phone vibrated. Another message. 7:47 p.m. Location confirmed by drone. You are at BI Night in the Pearl District. You have 1 hour and 13 minutes to get to Burgard Street. You better start walking, or not. Your choice. But the contract will be completed one way or another. The only question is where. A. They were tracking me in real time. Of course, they had probably hacked the cafe's cameras, or my phone was still transmitting my location to them no matter how many times I changed it. There was no escape. Not really. The illusion of freedom, but always watched. I got up. I left the coffee shop. The Portland night had settled in completely now. The streets glistened with recent rain, neon lights reflecting in puddles. Beautiful in a sad way. I started walking north, toward St. John's, toward the warehouse. Not because I had to, but because what else was left? Another sleepless night? Another day of panic? How long before I just completely fell apart? At least, this would have an end. The industrial district was dark. Closed buildings. Empty streets. My footsteps echoed on the pavement. In the distance, the sound of freight trains in the yards. I found the warehouse. 84 Wurtesentur N. Burgard Street. Exactly as he had described it, even though I had never been here before. I had searched Google Maps to come up with convincing details, but now, standing in front of it, the building seemed bigger, more menacing, a dark mouth ready to swallow me whole. I went inside. The first floor was open space, old rusted machinery, graffiti on the walls, needles and broken bottles in the corners, evidence that homeless people and addicts use this as a temporary shelter. I found the stairs. I climbed to the second floor, each step creaking under my weight. The building groaned around me. I thought the floor might give way, sending me tumbling through rotten wood. But it held. Northwest corner. The office, broken glass walls, cracked tile floor, an old desk overturned in a corner, windows facing the street. I sat down at the desk, my back to the wall, facing the door. I took out my phone. 7:58 p.m., 2 minutes. Would they come? Or was this all an elaborate mind game, and they would shoot me from an adjacent building? Or would they never come, leaving me to rot here in anticipation? 8 p.m., 8:01 p.m., 8:02 p.m. Then footsteps, downstairs, someone entering the building. My heart raced, every muscle tensed, ready to run, even though I had promised myself I wouldn't. The footsteps climbed the stairs, slow, deliberate, not trying to be quiet. A figure appeared in the office doorway, silhouetted against the darkness of the warehouse. It wasn't the man from the Crown Victoria. It was someone else, younger, thinner. Dressed all in black, a mask covered the lower half of his face, in his hand a gun, with a silencer. We stared at each other. For a long moment, neither of us moved. "Cassius Thorne," he finally said. His voice was electronically modulated. Impossible to identify gender or age. Lot 47, you're here. I'm here, I confirmed. My voice was surprisingly steady. Are you the winning bidder? Just the messenger. The winning bidder opted for privacy. They don't care who, just that it gets done. Do you know why? Why me? I don't ask questions, it's not my job. Right, just business. I laughed bitterly. 20 visitors on Reddit turned into thousands of Bitcoin. Nice return on investment. The figure tilted its head. Did you find the original customer? Yes, DFGHJKLM. A stranger who decided my life wasn't worth living based on a careless comment. Tough world. I guess so. I paused. Fast? Did they promise fast? If you cooperate. I'm cooperating. I'm here. I need you to kneel, facing the wall. My body didn't want to obey. Every instinct screamed to run, to fight, something, but I forced my legs to move. I knelt, facing the office wall, away from the shooter. I heard footsteps, approaching, the click of the gun's safety. This was it. This was the end. I closed my eyes. I thought of my mother. I hadn't called her in weeks. She would be devastated, confused. Why? 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 I thought of Thalassa, dead because she had shown me kindness, the collateral of my existence. I thought of DFGHKLM in Boston, probably not even remembering his Reddit post, not knowing he had started this cascade of horror. I felt the cold barrel of the gun against the back of my neck. Any last words? Asked the modulated voice. What did you say? What could you say when your life was ending for 27 dollars and an internet whim? This is stupid, I whispered. This is also stupidly stupid. I know, said the voice, and it almost sounded sad. I'm sorry. My name is Opal, and I no longer sleep with the lights off. Never again. Because I learned that monsters don't live in the dark. Monsters live in the flickering green light of a webcam, waiting, watching, recording every moment of your life that you thought was private. It all started because I couldn't sleep. I'd been like this for 3 weeks, waking up at 3 a.m., with my chest tight and my mind racing, thinking about bills, my jerk boss, my crappy apartment in Columbus, Ohio, how at 32 my life had become a gray routine of work, homework that was slowly consuming me. It was April, one of those nights where the rain was hitting my window with that monotonous rhythm that should have been relaxing but only made me more anxious. It was 2:47 a.m., and I was sitting on my bed, laptop on my knees, aimlessly scrolling through Reddit, Twitter, anything to quiet my thoughts. Then I remembered something my coworker Theron had casually mentioned over lunch the week before. We were talking about stress. Everyone in the office was on the verge of collapse from the corporate merger, and he had said, I go to these anonymous chats on the deep web. Sounds sketchy, I know, but it's liberating to be able to vent without anyone knowing who you are. No consequences, just strangers being honest. At the time, I had thought it was weird, but now, at almost 3 a.m., sleepless and desperate for some kind of relief, it sounded not so bad. I downloaded Tor. It wasn't hard. There are tutorials for everything on YouTube. I set up the browser, waited while it connected through random nodes around the world, and finally accessed that internet I had always avoided. The deep web isn't what they make it out to be. It's not all black markets and hitmen. There are forums, chats, communities, some legal, some not so much. I found a directory of IRC rooms, internet relay chat, those old things from the 90s that apparently still exist in the deep layers of the internet. There was one called Midnight Confessions. Simple description. Speak without judgment. Say what you can't say in the light of day. I clicked. The interface was minimalist, just black text on a gray background. Randomly generated usernames. I was user or 8473. There were other people there, maybe 10 or 12, in overlapping conversations. Complaints about jobs, relationships, existence in general. Exactly what I needed. I started typing, slowly at first, testing the waters. User 84273. I can't sleep. Again. I think my brain is broken. Several responses came. Generic solidarity. Me too. Insomnia is hell. Have you tried melatonin? But then, a different response. User 1247. Insomnia is just a symptom, Opal. What are you running from? I froze. I had used my random username. I hadn't given my real name. How? I typed quickly, User tertiary 8473. How do you know my name? User 84247. Does it matter? We're here to be honest, right? So let's be honest. You're running away from the reality that you hate your life. Your job at Meridian Solutions is soul-crushing. Your boss, Castor, is a narcissist. Your apartment on Maple Street is falling apart. And you haven't talked to your family in months because you can't stand their questions about why you're still single and without real success. My heart started beating faster. Every word was correct. Every detail accurate. Had I mentioned these things in chat before without realizing it? No, I had just logged in. Then how? User 8473. Who are you? User 1247. Someone who listens. Someone who sees. Isn't that what you wanted? Someone who really sees you? The word see was capitalized. Something about it gave me goosebumps. User 8473. I don't know you. This is weird. I'm leaving. I moved the cursor to close the browser, but their next message appeared before I could. User 1247. That scar on your left knee, from when you fell off your bike in 8th grade. Does it still hurt when it rains? My hand froze on the trackpad. The scar. No one knew about that scar except me. It wasn't even visible unless you looked hard for it. A small white line from minor surgery after the fall. I rarely wore shorts or short skirts precisely because I was embarrassed by it. How could a stranger on the internet know that? User 8473. What the hell? User 1247. Calm down, Opal. I'm not trying to scare you. I just want you to know that you're not alone. I see you. I really see you. I looked around my room. The bare walls of my one-bedroom apartment. The window with the curtains drawn. The closed door. I was alone. I had to be. But then my gaze fell on my laptop. On the small camera built into the top frame of the screen. And the LED next to it. It was flashing green. No. I'd never activated the camera. I wasn't on a video call. I hadn't given permission. But that damn green LED was blinking like an open eye, watching me. User 8473. Do you have access to my camera? I didn't want to ask. Because asking meant confirming what I already knew, but I needed to hear it. User 1247. Access. Opal, I have everything. Your camera, your microphone, your files. I've been here for... how long? 7 weeks. Since you downloaded that free screensaver from that sketchy site. Remember? The pretty little stars that move across the screen. It came with a little extra. My back door into your digital life. 7 weeks. I had downloaded that screensaver. It had been stupid, impulsive, but I had been so stressed, looking for anything to make my workspace more tolerable. 7 weeks meant that this stranger had been watching me for almost 2 months. Every night when I changed for bed. Every morning I woke up with messy hair and walked naked to the bathroom. Every lonely cry in my bed. Every moment I thought I was alone. I got up so fast that the laptop almost fell off my lap. I ran to my desk, rummaged through my drawer, found duct tape. My hands were shaking so much that I dropped it twice before I could tear off a piece. I went back to bed and covered the camera with the tape. The little green light disappeared under the opaque black. I breathed. For the first time in minutes, I breathed. I looked at the screen. The chat was still open. A new message was waiting. User 1247. Duct tape. Classic. But Opal? It's too late for that now. I have weeks of content. Want to see? I can show you. Before I could respond, my screen flickered. The chat disappeared, replaced by a video window. It was me. In my bed. Right now. 5 seconds ago. before I covered the camera. The video showed me sitting up, wearing my old college t-shirt and sleep shorts, hair messy, face bare, eyes red from lack of sleep, vulnerable, disheveled, real. And then the video changed. It was me again, but different. Same camera angle, but in this shot I was crying, sobbing actually, my face swollen and red. This had been, when? Last week, after Castor yelled at me in the team meeting. The video changed again. Me getting changed, taking off my bra, turning around as I searched for a clean t-shirt in my dresser. It changed again. Me on the sofa, with my laptop, scrolling through, oh God, a dating site. The expressions on my face as I rejected profile after profile. The desperation, the loneliness, all captured in high definition. "Turn it off," I whispered, even though I knew he couldn't hear me. The camera was covered. The microphone. Oh shit. The microphone. I frantically looked at the screen. Where were the sound settings? How did I turn it off? A new message appeared over the videos. User, Warren 1247. See? I see you. All of you. And these are just the highlights. I have hours, days of content, every intimate moment, every vulnerability, all archived, organized, stored on multiple servers around the world. The videos kept changing. Me sleeping, me eating alone, me talking on the phone with my mother, lying about being okay, me masturbating on a particularly lonely night. I threw up, right on the floor next to my bed. All the empty contents of my stomach came out as my body rebelled against the horror of seeing my private life turned into a video file for the entertainment of a stranger. When I could breathe again, I closed the laptop, I slammed it shut and threw it across the room. I heard the crack of plastic as it hit the wall. Good. Let it break. Let it shatter into pieces. I never wanted to see it again. I sat on the floor, hugging my knees, shaking. My phone. I needed my phone. I would call the police. This was a crime, right? Hacking, invasion of privacy, cyberstalking. I found my phone on the nightstand. I unlocked it with clumsy fingers, and then it vibrated with a notification, an email, from an address I didn't recognize. I see you, a dark mail onion. The subject line read, "Last chance before this gets ugly." I didn't want to open it. Every instinct told me not to, but I needed to know. I tapped on the email. "Dear Opal, I know you're scared. It's understandable, but I need you to listen carefully. The videos you saw are just the beginning. I have something else. Special. Have you heard of deepfakes? Technology that can put your face on any video, any situation, making it look completely real, indistinguishable from reality. I have enough footage of your face, your voice, your expressions to create anything. And I have. Attached you'll find a sample, a little preview of what I can do. Watch it. Then we'll talk about what you do next. Sincerely, someone who knows you better than you know yourself." There was an attachment. Video, MP4. I shouldn't have opened it. I know I shouldn't have. But curiosity, that damn human curiosity, was stronger than common sense. I tapped the file. The video loaded. HD quality. Clear sound. It was me. In a room I didn't recognize. Talking to a child. A young child. Maybe 8 or 9 years old. And in the video I was saying things to him. Horrible things. Touching him inappropriately. While he cried. "No, no, no, no," I shouted, closing the video. I threw the phone away as if it were burning. It wasn't real. It couldn't be real. I'd never done that. I would never do that. I didn't even know that kid. But the video, it looked real. My face, my voice, my expressions, all perfectly synchronized, perfectly convincing. If anyone saw that without context, without knowing about deepfakes, they would think, oh God, they would think I was a monster. My phone vibrated with another email. "See what I can do? This is just one. I have more. Dozens of scenarios. You stealing from your job. You planning a crime. You admitting to terrible things, all perfectly believable. And I can upload them, everywhere, News sites, social media. Send them to your boss, your family, your friends, the police. Your life will be over in an hour. But it doesn't have to be. Respond. Let's talk. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Every part of me wanted to run, flee, disappear. But there was nowhere to go. He had everything on remote servers. Uploading those videos would take seconds. What did he want? Money? More content? What kind of sick person did this? I replied to the email with fingers that barely worked. What do you want from me? The response was instantaneous. For now, just keep talking. I like our connection, Opal. You're interesting, more than you think. And I want you to understand something. Closing your laptop doesn't stop me. Covering your camera doesn't stop me. Because you're not the only machine I have. Look around you. I looked up from my phone. My room was, as it always was, empty, silent. Just my sparse furniture and the broken laptop in the corner. But then, my gaze fell on something I had completely forgotten about. The tablet my job had given me. It was on my desk, where I left it every night after checking my emails one last time. The screen was off, but on the bezel, visible even in the darkness of my room lit only by my night lamp, there was a small light. Green. Flashing. I got up. I walked to the desk as if in a trance. The tablet. He had the tablet too. What else did he have? My gaze swept across the room. My phone. He obviously had access to that too if he was sending me instant emails. My TV. It was an old smart TV, but it had a built-in camera for video calls that I never used. I checked. Green light. My cheap security system. A smart doorbell I had installed on my front door months ago. Did he have access to that too? Every device, every camera, every microphone. All potentially compromised. There was no privacy. There was no security. It was like living in a glass house where every wall was a window into my life, and he was on the other side, watching, recording, waiting. My phone vibrated with another message. Do you understand now? You can't hide from me. I'm in every device you touch. Every screen is my eye. Every speaker is my ear. But I'm not being cruel for no reason. I have a proposal. Do as I say. And the videos remain private. No one ever sees them. Your life continues as normal. Refuse. And by this time tomorrow, you'll be trending on social media as the Ohio pedophile. Your face will be on the news. You'll lose your job. Your family will disown you. And the police will be knocking on your door. You choose. Tears were streaming down my face now. I couldn't stop them. This couldn't be happening. It wasn't real. It was a nightmare. It had to be. But it was. It was as real as my heart pounding in my chest, as the cold sweat on my skin, as the paralyzing fear that made every thought impossible. What do you want me to do? I typed. Good girl. For now, simple. Reopen your laptop. We're going to have a proper conversation, face to face. No. Everything in me screamed no, but what choice did I have? I walked over to where I had thrown the laptop. The screen was cracked but still working when I opened it. The Tor browser was still open, the chat still active. I ripped the tape off the camera. The green light flashed back on. User Tor47. There you are. Much better. See? It's not that hard to cooperate. User 8443. What do you want? User Etretules47. Right now, just stay there. Let me look at you. You're beautiful when you're scared, you know. Your eyes get bigger. Your breathing quickens. I can see your pulse in your neck from here. It was grotesque. I felt dirty, violated in a way I couldn't fully describe. But I stayed there, sitting on my bed, letting him watch, because the alternative was my life destroyed. User 1247. Good start. Now tomorrow at work, I want you to do something for me. Your boss, Castor, has access to the company's financial accounts. I need you to get me his login credentials. Corporate fraud. Of course, it wasn't just about control or sexual power, it was money too. User 8473. I can't do that. I'd be detected. I'd be arrested. User 1247. And you'd rather be arrested for pedophilia because I can make that happen with one click. Your call. I was trapped. Completely, utterly trapped. I spent the rest of the night sitting there, laptop open, while he watched me. Sometimes he would type messages, comments about my appearance, invasive questions about my life, instructions about what he needed me to do the next day. Other times he would just watch, silently, like a predator studying its prey. As the sun began to rise, my phone rang with my 6:30 a.m. alarm. Time to get ready for work. User, Tortorn2047. Go. Do your routine, but remember, I'm watching you, always. I got up like a zombie. Quick shower. I frantically looked around the bathroom for cameras, but didn't see any. That didn't mean they weren't there. They could be anywhere. I got dressed in the bathroom with the door closed, something I had never done before. I put on more clothes than necessary, layers, as if they could protect me from his gaze. Work was surreal. Sitting in my cubicle trying to focus on spreadsheets while knowing he was probably watching through my work computer's camera. Every time my boss walked by, I thought about what I was supposed to do. Steal his credentials. I couldn't do it. I wasn't going to become a criminal because of this psychopath. During lunch, I slipped out to a coffee shop across the street. I used their public Wi-Fi on my phone, hoping that would somehow confuse him, and search for help. Who do you call when a hacker has your entire life in their hands? I found a forum on cybersecurity. I posted anonymously, explaining my situation without identifying myself. The responses were mixed. Some said to call the FBI, they had cybercrime divisions. Others said to document everything and go to the local police. Some, more cynical, said it was too late. That once a hacker had that level of access, there was no real way to regain control. I decided to try the police. It was my only real option. After work, instead of going home, I went to the nearest police station. I need to report a cybercrime, I told the officer at the front desk. Her name was Bryony, according to her badge. Tired but friendly face. What kind of cybercrime? Someone hacked my devices, my laptop, my phone, everything. They've been recording me without my consent, and now they're blackmailing me with fake videos, deepfakes. They say they're going to ruin my life if I don't do what they want. Bryony took me to an interview room. She sat me down. She took notes while I told her everything, from the IRC chat to the videos to the blackmail. Do you have evidence of these messages? She asked. Yes. On my phone, in my email. I took out my phone to show her. There was nothing. The emails were gone. Every single one. The inbox was empty except for normal work emails and spam. No, they were here. 2 hours ago they were here. Sometimes hackers can delete evidence remotely, Bryony said gently. Do you have screenshots? Any backups? I had nothing. I had been so terrified that I hadn't thought to document anything. What about the deepfake videos you mentioned? He sent them to me, but he probably deleted those too. Bryony nodded slowly. I understand this is terrifying, and take this seriously. But without evidence, it's difficult for us to take immediate action. What I can do is take a report, and we can refer your case to our cybercrime unit. They can investigate, but these cases can take time. Weeks or months. I don't have weeks, I said, my voice breaking. He said if I don't do what he wants, he'll upload those videos. Tomorrow. The day after tomorrow. Soon. Have you considered just disconnecting everything, throwing away your devices, getting new ones, starting fresh? He already recorded everything. He already has the content. Throwing it away now doesn't change anything. Bryony sighed. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. In cases of cyber blackmail, especially with deepfakes, it's complicated. Even if we arrest him, and that's a big if, because these guys usually operate from other countries, the content is already out there. Once something is on the internet, it never completely disappears. Her words were like a punch to the stomach. There was no escape. There was no justice. Just permanent damage. I left the station feeling worse than when I entered. My phone vibrated. A text message. Unknown number. Very disappointing, Opal. I thought we had an understanding, but you went to the police. You betrayed my trust. Consequences. Below the message, a link. I didn't want to click it, but I needed to know. The link opened to a public forum, one of those sites where people post viral content, news, videos. And there, on the homepage, trending, Ohio teacher caught abusing student, shocking video. I wasn't a teacher, but in the video thumbnail, it was clearly my face. The video he had shown me earlier, me with that boy, had been uploaded publicly, and it already had thousands of views, hundreds of comments. Let her rot in jail. How did they let this sicko work with children? Someone needs to find this monster and bring her to justice. My life was over. In a matter of hours, my face would be everywhere. My name would be doxxed. People would find me. My job would know. My family would know. And no matter how much I screamed that it was fake, that it was a deep fake, the damage would be done. Perception would become reality. I ran home. I don't know why. There was no safety there, but I didn't know where else to go. When I got to my apartment, my phone was ringing off the hook. Calls from unknown numbers. Text messages with threats. Emails with insults. Social media had already found me. Someone had identified my Facebook profile, my Instagram, my LinkedIn. Everything was being bombarded with comments, messages, accusations. Pedophile. Monster. You deserve to die. Messages of rape, messages of death. Detailed descriptions of what people wanted to do to me. And worst of all, some seemed to know where I lived. 2845 Serve, Maple Street, Apt 4B. We're coming for you, bitch. Someone had posted my address publicly. Complete doxing. I heard banging on my door. Loud, aggressive. Come out, you sicko. We know you're in there. Male voices. Multiple. They sounded young, angry, vengeful. I crawled away from the door, toward my bedroom. I locked the door, as if that could stop a mob. The banging continued. Louder. I heard the sound of something hitting the front door repeatedly, trying to break it down. I called 911. 911, what is your emergency? There are people trying to break into my apartment. I am in danger. Please, send help. What is your address? I gave it to her. The operator said they would send a unit immediately, but the banging didn't stop. And then, the sound I had feared. The crack of the door breaking. They had gotten in. I heard footsteps, multiple people in my apartment, voices shouting, "Find her! She can't hide." I curled up in my closet, among hanging clothes, holding my breath, my phone in my hand, dialing. Who? What could I do? My bedroom door burst open. She's in here somewhere. Footsteps approaching the closet. The door opened. 3 young men, maybe 20 years old, faces red with rage. One was holding a baseball bat. There you are, bitch. They dragged me out of the closet. I screamed. I kicked, but they were stronger. One held my arms while another yelled in my face. How could you do that to a child? What kind of monster are you? It wasn't me. It's fake. Someone edited the video. It's a deep fake. Sure, that's what they all say. We saw the video. It was you. The one with the bat raised it. And then, sirens. Loud. Close. Red and blue lights flashing through my window. The men froze. They looked at each other. Then they let go of me and ran, leaving my apartment before the police could come up. The officers entered moments later. They found me on the floor, sobbing, traumatized. They took my statement. They took photos of the damage. They said they would look for the perpetrators, but that without clear descriptions, it would be difficult. And then one of them, a senior officer named Wendell, looked at his phone. Then he looked at me. His eyes changed, from sympathy to suspicion. Miss, is there something you want to tell us? About what? About a video that's circulating, that shows you with a minor. My heart sank. Even the police had seen the video. Even they. It's fake. It's a deep fake. Someone is stalking me. I reported this today at your station. Officer Bryany took my statement. Wendell exchanged glances with his partner. We're going to need you to come with us for further questioning. Am I under arrest? We just need to look into a few things. So I went to the station, to an interrogation room, where detectives spent hours asking me the same questions over and over again. Do you know the child in the video? No, I've never seen him before. Can you explain why your face and voice are in the video? Because someone used deepfake technology to put me there. It's not me. It's AI. We have video experts analyzing it. It looks very real. That's the point of deepfakes. They look real, but they're not. They called in a digital forensics technician. He had the detectives show him the video in question. He analyzed it. He ran several programs. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he said, "It's consistent with deepfake technology. There are subtle markers, artifacts around the hairline, slightly incorrect synchronization in certain frames. It's convincing, but it's not real." The detectives let me go, with warnings that the investigation would continue, that I shouldn't leave town, but the damage was done. The internet doesn't care about forensic checks. The video was still there. The accusations were still there. My life was still ruined. When I finally got home, to my apartment with the broken door, my sanctuary violated, it was almost 3 a.m., exactly 24 hours since I had entered that IRC chat. My phone vibrated. One last message. Fun, isn't it? Watching it all fall apart. But this is only the beginning, Opal, because now that the world thinks you're a monster, who would believe you if you said I'm here? Watching you, controlling you, no one. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to keep living your life. You're going to do exactly what I tell you, when I tell you. And in return, maybe, just maybe, I won't upload the next video. Or the next one. Or the next one. I have dozens, all equally compelling, all equally destructive. You're mine now. Welcome to your new life. P.S. Don't bother covering the cameras again. I know it doesn't work. And you know I'll always find a way to see you. Sweet dreams, Opal. Leave the light on. And that was it. I never turned off the lights when I went to sleep again. Because in the dark, I couldn't see the cameras, but they could see me. I lived every day knowing I was being watched. Every move monitored. Every word heard. Every aspect of my life controlled by a man whose name I never knew, whose face I never saw, who turned me into his personal puppet from some basement somewhere. My name is Quillen, and I killed my best friend with a double click. Well, almost killed him. What's worse is that part of me wishes I had, because what actually happened was much, much worse. It all started because we were cheap. Evander and I, two 20-somethings in Phoenix, Arizona, sharing a crappy apartment, working retail, and spending every penny we had on frozen pizza and bills. The idea of paying $60 for a new video game was laughable. So we pirated everything. Games, software, movies, you name it. It was a Friday night in August. The desert heat had turned our unair-conditioned apartment into an oven. And there we were, both in our underwear in front of our laptops, searching for the new release of Eclipse Protocol, a game everyone was playing, but neither of us could afford. I found something, Evander said from his room. A torrent on a deep web form. They say it's the full version, no DRM with all the DLCs. Deep web? I asked, walking toward his door. Isn't that where they buy kidneys and hire hitmen? Evander laughed. That's just propaganda. 90% of the deep web is just people sharing files they don't want companies to track. Torrents, books, cracked software. It's like Pirate Bay, but more anonymous. And you know how to get in? I downloaded Tor months ago. It's easy. I sat on the edge of his bed while he browsed. The Tor interface was simple. The site he accessed was plain text on a black background. Cipher share, said the header. Below, categories. Software, games, media, tools. Evander clicked on games. He scrolled until he found Eclipse Protocol. There it is. 47 seaters. Good download speed. But look at this. He pointed to an additional file listed with the torrent. It comes with an optimization kit. It says it improves performance on old PCs. Our laptops were junk. Mine was 4 years old and sounded like a jet taking off every time I opened Chrome. What's an optimization kit? I asked. Probably registry tweaks, junk file cleanup, that kind of thing. People make them so heavy games run better on old hardware. Is it safe? There are 47 people sharing it. If it were a virus, someone would have reported it. He shrugged. I'm downloading it. You do whatever you want. I hesitated. Something in my brain, that survival instinct I rarely listen to, told me not to, but the rationalization was easy. If Evander downloaded it first, I could see if anything bad happened, and if it worked, we'd have the game for free and running better. Go ahead, I said, but install it on your computer first. If it doesn't blow up, I'll download it too. Evander clicked. The download began, 23 GB for the game, 487 NB for the kit. It's going to take about an hour, he said, looking at the download speed. Pizza. We ordered pizza. We sat on the couch watching YouTube videos on my phone while the downloads progressed. Everything was normal. Everything was mundane. There was no way to know that in those moments we were downloading our own destruction. When the download finished, Evander installed the game first. It worked perfectly. Then he installed the optimization kit. Just run this.exe. He read the instructions on the forum. It will ask for administrator permissions, give them to it, then restart. He clicked. A window popped up. Optimization. Tools.exe wants to make changes to your device. Allow? Evander clicked yes. A progress bar appeared. Optimizing system, do not close this window. It took about 5 minutes. Then, optimization complete. Please restart your computer. Evander restarted. When the laptop turned back on, everything seemed normal. See? No problem, he said, opening the game. It loaded faster than before. The graphics look good. Works perfectly. Download it too. I should have said no. I should have sensed something was wrong. But greed, that stupid desire to get something for free, won out. I downloaded both files to my laptop. I installed the game. Then, with only a second's hesitation, I installed the optimization kit. Same process, same progress bar, same restart message. I restarted, and for the next 2 days, everything was fine. We played Eclipse Protocol. It worked great. Our laptops ran better than before. We congratulated ourselves on being so smart, on finding this amazing hack. The first sign that something was wrong came on Sunday night. I was checking my email when I noticed something strange. There were messages in my sent folder that I didn't remember sending. They were to random contacts in my list. People from work, friends from college, even my cousin Tallulah who lived in Vermont and whom I hadn't spoken to in years. I opened one of the sent emails. The subject line read, "You have to see this." The body of the email was simple. "I found this amazing link, check it out," followed by a shortened link. I hadn't sent that, ever. "Hey, Evander," I called out. "Have you checked your email lately?" "Why?" "Because I think someone hacked mine. There are emails I didn't send." Silence from his room. Then, "Shit. Me too, like 20 emails to random people." A knot formed in my stomach. "Do you think it was the optimization kit?" "It can't be. It only optimizes system performance. It doesn't have access to emails or..." He paused. Because we both realized at the same time, we had given it administrator permissions, full access to the system. It could do whatever it wanted. "Uninstall it," I said, getting up. "Right now, both of us." I ran to my laptop. I searched through installed programs. There was nothing called optimization tools. I searched for related files. Nothing. It was as if it had never been installed. "I can't find it," Evander shouted from his room. "It's nowhere to be found. How do you uninstall something that doesn't exist?" "Maybe it deleted itself after doing what it needed to do," Evander said, appearing at my door. His face was pale. "Maybe it did its job and left." "And what job was that?" We had no answer. I spent the next few hours trying to clean up my system. I ran antivirus. It found some suspicious things and quarantined them. I changed all my passwords. I checked my bank accounts, nothing strange. My social media, all normal. Maybe it had just been an automated spammer. Annoying, but not the end of the world. I went to bed that night feeling uncomfortable, but not terrified. Monday at work was normal. Retail at an electronics store. 8 hours of smiling at customers trying to return obviously broken items that they themselves had broken. Evander worked at a Starbucks 2 blocks away, so we usually left together. But that day, when I finished my shift at 6 p.m., Evander wasn't waiting for me at our usual spot. I texted him, "Where are you?" He didn't reply. I called him. It went straight to voicemail. Weird. Evander always had his phone on. He was addicted to that thing. I walked to the Starbucks. His manager, a woman named Nafale, was closing up. "Is Evander still here?" I asked. "Evander didn't come in today," she said, confused. "He called in sick this morning." "Didn't he tell you?" "No." "Did he speak to you directly?" "No. He left a voicemail. He said he had the stomach flu." That was strange. Evander had been fine that morning. I had seen him eating cereal before I left for work. I went back to the apartment. Empty. "Evander?" I called. No answer. His room was as usual, total mess, clothes on the floor, laptop closed on his desk. But he wasn't there. Maybe he had gone out to buy something. Maybe he was with some girl he hadn't mentioned to me. Maybe a million normal explanations, but my gut was telling me something different. By 8 p.m., he still hadn't come back. I called his phone 20 times. Nothing. At 10 p.m., I started calling his friends. No one had seen him. At midnight, I called his mom in Tucson. She hadn't spoken to him in a week. "Should I call the police?" she asked, her voice tense with worry. "Let's wait until tomorrow," I said, not knowing why. Maybe he just needed some space. I didn't sleep that night. I stayed on the couch, staring at the door, waiting for Evander to walk in at any moment with some crazy explanation. He never came. On Tuesday morning, my phone vibrated. A text message from Evander's number. "Help. I'm being followed. Don't know who they are. Southside. Help." The message was poorly written, with no punctuation, as if he had sent it in a hurry. Or in terror. Southside was a part of Phoenix we avoided. High crime, gangs, drugs. What the hell was Evander doing there? I replied, "Where exactly? I'm on my way." The message wasn't delivered. His phone had been turned off. I called the police. I gave them all the information. They said they would take a report, but that an adult missing for 24 hours, who had sent a text message, wasn't exactly a high priority. They would look for him, but couldn't make any promises. I couldn't wait. I took the bus to Barrio Sur. I didn't have a car. I had no idea what I was looking for. I just knew that Evander was in trouble, and I had to find him. I spent hours walking through streets that made me feel like a target, asking strangers who ignored me or told me to go away. Nothing. No sign of Evander. When I returned to the apartment that night, I was devastated, physically and emotionally exhausted. And then I remembered something. The optimization kit, the hacked emails. What if it had been more than just spam? What if it had stolen more information? What if it was somehow connected to Evander's disappearance? I opened my laptop. I went back to Tor. I navigated back to CipherShare. The Eclipse protocol post was still there, but now it had new comments. User 8472. Warning. This optimization kit is malware. It stole all my data and sold it on dark market. Do not download. User 293. Too late to warn. I already lost $3,000 from my bank account. The kit has keylogger, screen capture, everything. User 5834. Does anyone know who uploaded this? I need to find that son of a bitch. My heart was beating so hard I could hear it in my ears. This was real. The kit had been malware, and it had stolen our data. But what did that have to do with Evander disappearing? I kept reading the comments, until I found one that made my blood run cold. User 9247. Malware doesn't just steal for financial fraud. It sells complete information packages, names, addresses, routines, contacts, everything to specialized services. If you downloaded this, your info is on several black markets right now for whatever they want to use it for. Specialized services. What did that mean? I clicked on user 9247's profile. They had other posts. A recent one on a different forum. Dark market, personal acquisitions. I followed the link, and there, on a page that looked like Craigslist from hell, I saw categories that made me want to vomit. Identities for sale, real-time locations, recovery contracts, customized extortion. I clicked on real-time locations, a list of names, with photos, with addresses, with detailed information about routines, jobs, contacts. And there, halfway down the list, was Evander. His Facebook photo, his full name, Evander Matthias Reeves, our address, his job at Starbucks, his routine, leaves home 7:15 a.m., returns 6:30 p.m., walks alone on McDowell Street. And below all that, target acquired, status in progress, client, debt recovery, $10K, debt collection, $10,000. Evander didn't owe that much. He didn't owe anything. He worked at Starbucks earning minimum wage. But then I saw the additional note. Debt generated through identity fraud. Subject responsible for payment or physical alternative. Oh God. Someone had used Evander's stolen data to create fake debt, loans in his name, credit cards, whatever. And now some cartel or group of criminal debt collectors thought he owed them real money. And they had kidnapped him to collect it. Because of me. Because I had told him to download that damn file. My hands were shaking so much I could barely type. I clicked on Evander's listing. It expanded with more details. Target secured, 08-19-1430, HR's current location, GPS coordinates. Payment countdown, 36 hours remaining. Contact method, link to encrypted chat. The coordinates, I copied and pasted them into Google Maps. An abandoned warehouse in Barrio Sur, less than 3 miles from where I had been searching today. Evander was there, right now, being held by people who thought he owed them $10,000 he had never taken. I clicked on the encrypted chat link. An IRC window opened, similar to where we had found the torrent. An automated message appeared. Welcome. You are contacting the Debt Recovery Service. Case status EV2847 active. Outstanding debt $10,000 USD. Time remaining for voluntary payment 35-4722. After expiration, alternative recovery will proceed. Alternative recovery. I didn't want to know what that meant, but I could imagine. I typed frantically. This is a mistake. The debt is fake. It was created by identity fraud. The subject never took that money. The response was instantaneous. The origin of the debt is irrelevant to our service. We were hired to recover $10K from the subject Evander Reeves. Our reputation depends on completing contracts. Fraud or not, the subject or his representative must pay. I don't have $10,000. Then the subject will face alternative recovery. His organs are worth approximately $15K on the black market, enough to cover the debt plus our fees. They were going to kill him, cut him up, sell his organs, and it was my fault. I can get the money, I wrote, lying desperately. Give me more time. Remaining time is fixed, 35 hours. You can transfer now using Bitcoin to this address. Long string of characters. Once payment is confirmed, the subject will be released in a public location within 2 hours. Bitcoin. I didn't even know how to get Bitcoin, let alone $10,000 in Bitcoin. I closed the laptop. I paced around the apartment. My brain was racing. Who could I ask for money? My parents. They didn't have that kind of savings. A loan. They wouldn't give me one. The police. And tell them what? My friend is being held by a deep web cartel for a fake debt created by malware we downloaded. It would sound insane. I had to do something. Anything. I went back to the laptop. I frantically searched for how to get Bitcoin fast. Exchanges, ATMs, P2P. Everything took time I didn't have. And money I didn't have. Then I had a horrible idea. If the malware had stolen our data and sold it, how many other people had downloaded it? How many other victims were there? I went back to the CipherShare forum. I searched for other posts by the user who had uploaded the original torrent. Username, HelpfulHelper247. He had dozens of posts, all offering optimization kits and performance boosters and useful tools attached to popular torrents. And they all had comments now from people realizing they had been hacked. But one of the posts had something different. A comment from HelpfulHelper247 himself. For those interested in recovering data or negotiating, I offer mediation services, reasonable rates, DM for details. It was a business. This whole thing was a fucking business. Create the malware, steal data, sell it to criminals, and then offer to help the victims for a fee. I sent him a direct message. My friend downloaded your malware. Now he's been hijacked. I need help. The response came within minutes. Unfortunate situation. I can intervene for a fee of $2,000 USD. I will contact the holders and negotiate release without full payment of debt. Your friend walks away alive. 2,000. I still didn't have 2,000, but it was better than 10,000. How do I know this isn't a scam? You don't, but consider this. If your friend dies, you lose a friend. If you pay and it's a scam, you lose money. Which loss is worse? Also, check my track record. I've helped others. Reputation is important in our market. I checked. There were testimonials. People saying Helpful Helper had resolved situations. Sure, probably all fake. But what choice did I have? I need time to get the money. You have until the original deadline, 34 hours now. Transfer Bitcoin to this address when you have the funds. I closed my laptop and started making calls. Family, friends, anyone who could lend me money. I made up stories, medical emergency, car debt, whatever would work. My cousin Shepard lent me $400. My sister Hollis, $300. A friend from work, $200. I sold my laptop, ironic, my TV, my game console. Altogether, I had $1,847 in cash by the end of the day. It wasn't enough. I needed another $153, and I needed to convert it all to Bitcoin. I found a Bitcoin ATM at a sketchy 7-Eleven. The fees were obscene. I lost almost $200 in fees, but I managed to convert it all to Bitcoin and transfer it to the address Helpful Helper had given me. Payment received, came his message. Processing intervention. Await updates. And then, I waited, in the empty apartment where Evander should have been. Staring at my phone, staring at the clock. Every minute was torture. 3 hours passed, 4, 5, nothing. Had he scammed me? Was this just another layer of the nightmare? At 2 a.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Quillen? It was Evander's voice, weak, scared, but alive. Evander, where are you? Are you okay? I don't know. They dropped me off in a parking lot near, wait, there's a sign. University Drive, a Walgreens. Stay there. I'm on my way. I took an Uber, my last money, to that location. I arrived in 15 minutes. Evander was sitting on the sidewalk, hugging his knees. He had a black eye, split lips, dirty, torn clothes. My God, I whispered, running to him. What did they do to you? They held me in a warehouse. They said I owed money, 10,000. I told them it was a mistake, that I didn't have any debts, but they didn't believe me. They beat me. They said if I didn't pay, they were going to... His voice broke. Quillen, They were going to kill me. They were going to take my organs and sell them. They said it so casually, as if it were their normal job. I know. I'm sorry. This was my fault. Your fault? How? I told him everything. The malware, the data theft, the marketplace, how I had encouraged him to download that crap, how I had paid to get him released. Evander looked at me with eyes I couldn't read. Anger, horror, betrayal. I almost died for downloading a free video game, he finally said. I know, and I'm so sorry. We should never have... They showed me pictures, he interrupted, of my family, my mom, my little sister. They said if I didn't cooperate, they'd be next. My blood ran cold. What? They had their addresses, their routines, everything, as if someone had been watching them. The malware, it had stolen his contact list, information about his family, and now the criminals had all of that too. We have to warn them, I said. Right now. Evander took out his phone. They had given it back to him when they released him. He called his mom. He woke her up at 2 a.m. and told her to pack a bag and go to a hotel. Don't ask questions. Just do it. Then he called his sister with the same message. And then, while he was on the phone with his sister, his screen flashed with a notification. An email. From the sender, helpful helper, darkmail.onion. The subject line read, Successful propagation, welcome to the network. Evander opened the email. I read over his shoulder. Dear Evander, thank you for being such a dedicated user of our optimization kit. Your computer has served admirably as a distribution node for the past 72 hours. As you know, the kit does more than optimize. It self-propagates. Every email you sent, without knowing it, every message, every contact, they all received a version of the malware, disguised as a harmless attachment or link. Your network of contacts, 247 people. Estimated infection rate, 68%. That's approximately 168 new compromised machines. And each of those machines is now spreading to their contacts. Exponential growth. Beautiful, isn't it? You are patient zero of this wave. Congratulations. As a courtesy, I'm letting you know that your data, and that of your contacts, has been sold to multiple buyers. Some for financial fraud, others for extortion, others for, well, you've already experienced that personally. There's no way to undo this. The malware is already out there. The data has already been sold. The buyers are already at work. But don't feel bad. You're not special. You're just one of thousands who downloaded our tools this month. Sweet dreams, HH. Evander dropped his phone. He stared into space. 168 people, he whispered. I have 168 people infected because of me. It's not your fault, and they're going to infect others, and those others will infect more. It's like a virus, and I started it. We started it, I corrected. I downloaded it too. I spread it too. I stopped. Because I realized something horrible. I had contacts too. My family. My friends. My work. I took out my phone. I checked my sent items. Dozens of emails I hadn't written. To everyone. My mom. My little brother. Arlen. My best friend from college. Zephra. They had all received the malicious link. And some had replied, "What is this? The link doesn't work. What did you send me?" Which meant they had clicked on it. I had infected them all. How many contacts do you have? Evander asked, his voice emotionless. I don't know. Maybe 150. So we're responsible for, what, 400 people infected directly and thousands indirectly? I didn't answer, because the answer was yes, and the weight of that realization was crushing. My phone vibrated. A text message from my brother Arlen. Something weird is going on. My bank account is empty. Do you know anything about this? Then another message. From Zephra. Quillen, someone is using my identity. They opened credit cards in my name. Has something like this happened to you? And another. from my cousin Shepard, the same one who had lent me money. My computer has been acting weird since I opened that link you sent me. What was it? The messages kept coming, one after another, people whose lives I had ruined without even realizing it. We have to warn them, I said, my voice shaking. Everyone. We have to tell them not to open anything, to change all their passwords, to... And how do we explain why this happened? Evander interrupted. That we were stupid enough to download malware from the deep web for a free video game. That our stupidity potentially got them into fake debt or worse. It doesn't matter how it sounds, we have to... My phone rang. It was Zephyra. I answered. Quillen, I need your help. Her voice sounded terrified. There are people here, in my house, saying I owe them money, but I don't owe them anything. They're breaking things. They say if I don't pay, they'll come after my family. I don't know what to do. I called the police, but the line went dead. I tried to call back. It went straight to voicemail. Zephyra's in trouble, I told Evander. Like you were. Because I infected her. Where does she live? Tempe, about half an hour from here. Do you have money to go? No. I spent it all saving you. We looked at each other. Two idiots sitting in a Walgreens parking lot at 2:30 a.m. surrounded by the wreckage of the lives we had destroyed. My phone wouldn't stop vibrating. More messages, more calls, more people discovering their lives were compromised. Arlen, someone emptied my account. $800, all my money. What the hell, Quillen? My mom. Honey, my email is sending weird stuff to everyone. Was I hacked? A coworker. Corwin. Why did you send me a virus link? My computer is dead now. Another. Sable. Your link infected me with ransomware. They want $500 or they'll delete everything. Thanks for nothing. Each message was a stab in the heart. Each missed call a reminder of my complicity. We can't help everyone, Evander finally said. Even if we wanted to, we don't have the money. We don't have the resources. And the people who did this are somewhere on the deep web where we'll never find them. So what do we do? Just give up? I don't know, Quillen. I don't know. We sat there as the sun began to rise over Phoenix. The desert heat already building even at that early hour. My phone vibrated again. Another message, this one from a number I didn't recognize. I opened it. It was a photo of a warehouse with people tied to chairs. Maybe 6 or 7 of them. And I recognized some faces, friends of friends, distant contacts from my list. The message below the photo read, "Current debt recovery batch. Several of your contacts. All owe varying amounts. Intervention fees available. How many can you save before time runs out?" HHA. It was a game to them. A business. Infect people, create fake debts, kidnap them, and then collect ransoms. And we, Evander and I, were patient zero. The ones who had started this wave of horror with a simple desire to play a video game without paying $60. I looked at Evander. He was looking at his own phone, probably seeing similar messages. We're responsible for all this, I said. I know. People are going to die because of us. I know. And there's nothing we can do to stop it. Evander finally looked at me. His eyes were red. Not from crying, beyond that. Red from exhaustion, from horror. From the realization that we had unleashed something unstoppable. No, he said simply. We can't. And he was right. Because the malware kept spreading. The data kept selling. The criminals kept working. And all because 2 idiots in an overheated apartment in Phoenix thought they could get something for free. But nothing is free. Everything has a cost. We just found out the price too late. My name is Caspian, and for 3 days I lived knowing exactly how much my organs were worth on the black market. $150,000. That was the price of my right kidney. The healthy one, according to the listing. And the worst part wasn't knowing my price. The worst part was knowing that there were already 7 buyers actively bidding, and that the description included my address, my daily routine, and the phrase that haunts me every night. Easy catch. Sleeps alone. It all started because I'm nosy. I always have been. A freelance journalist in Portland, Oregon, with a blog that no one reads about the dark side of the internet. Dark web markets, hacker forums, that kind of content that fascinates 10 people and bores the rest of the world. I wasn't making any money from it. I worked part-time in a bookstore to pay the rent, but I liked the adrenaline rush of exploring places I shouldn't be. It was October, one of those nights of constant rain that makes Portland so depressing. I lived alone in a one-bedroom apartment in the Hawthorne district, on the second floor of an old building that creaked with every gust of wind. It was 11 p.m. and I was at my desk, my laptop lighting up my face in the dark, surfing the deep web as I did almost every night. I had been following a thread on a forum about illegal medical markets, not drugs. That was too common. This was about organs, anonymous transplants, surgeries in clandestine clinics, the black market of human desperation. A user named Surgeon X had posted a link for the truly curious premium market. Tor access only. Most of the comments were skeptical. Probably a scam, clickbait for malware, but some said it was real. One in particular caught my attention. Visitor 4521. I confirmed that it is legitimate. I saw listings for my city, real medical photos, detailed information. This is not a joke. Don't go in unless you can handle what you'll see. That warning, of course, only made me more curious. I copied the link, pasted it into my Tor browser, waited while it loaded. These pages always load slowly, bouncing through nodes around the world. The page finally appeared. Professional design, surprisingly. None of the sketchy look you'd expect. It looked like a legitimate medical site, almost like a hospital page. The header read, Med Market Premium, Discrete Transplant Solutions. Below that, a menu. Kidneys, livers, corneas, lungs, hearts. Each category had a number in parentheses. Kidneys, 342. Livers, 89. Hearts, 12. Numbers, like inventory, like products on Amazon. I clicked on kidneys, the largest category. The page loaded with a grid of listings, each with a medical photo, technical details, and a price. Lot, R2847, type A+, 34 years old, 95% kidney function, non-smoker. Location, California. Price, $120K. Status, available. Lot R3012, type O, 45 years old, 88% kidney function, clean history. Location, Texas. Price, $95K. Status, reserved. Photo after photo, medical scans, ultrasounds, blood tests, information stolen from hospitals, clearly. Each listing was a real person, reduced to statistics and a price. My stomach churned, but I couldn't stop scrolling. This was exactly the kind of content I needed for my blog. Proof that these markets really existed, that they weren't just urban legends. I took screenshots, I documented URLs, I copied descriptions, material for at least 3 articles, and then I came to Lot R4756. The photo loaded first. A kidney ultrasound scan. 2 kidneys, one slightly larger than the other. Nothing unusual. But then I saw the attached photo. It wasn't a medical scan. It was an ID photo. The kind they use on dental records or school records. It was me. My face. My messy brown hair. My hazel eyes. The slightly crooked smile I always hated in photos. It was the photo from my last dental checkup 6 months ago. For a moment, my brain just didn't process. This had to be a mistake, a coincidence, someone who looked like me. But then I read the details. Lot R4756, type O negative, universal blood, high demand, 28 years old. Kidney function 97%, no history of kidney disease, non-smoker, moderate alcohol consumption. BMI 23 optimal, clean medical history except for penicillin allergy. Location, Portland, Oregon. Exact address, 2943 SE Hawthorne BLVD, apt 2B. Documented routine, wakes up 8, Eter 9 Jurisur AM work. Powell's books, 12:00 to 6:00 p.m. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday gym, Planet Fitness on Division, Monday, Wednesday, 7:00 p.m. shopping, Trader Joe's, Sundays. 3:00 p.m. usually home after 8:00 p.m. lives alone, no pets. Apartment, no alarm system, standard lock, fire escape window accessible from alley capture risk level, low optimal acquisition window, 10:00 p.m., 6:00 a.m. Sleeps alone, non-interactive neighbors. Starting price, $150,000. Current bids, 7 current price, $163,500. Special notes, blood type O negative is universal donor. Kidney can serve any recipient. Premium for this. Delivery. Capture and extraction can be coordinated. Surgeon available. Recovery time, 4 to 6 hours, from capture to viable organ for transplant. Every word was correct. Every detail accurate. My address, my job, my gym, my exact routine. Someone had been watching me, studying me, documenting every aspect of my life. And now I was listed on an organ marketplace, like cattle waiting for the slaughterhouse. My hands were shaking so much that I almost dropped the laptop. My heart was pounding so hard that I could hear it over the rain, beating against my window. 7 bids. 7 people had offered money for my kidney, and the price kept going up. I looked at the time on the listing. Last updated 8 minutes ago. 8 minutes. This listing had been updated while I was browsing the site. While I was sitting here in my apartment, someone somewhere was actively bidding for the right to kidnap me and rip out an organ. It had to be a joke, a hack, someone playing with me. But then I saw the other listings around me on the page. Other people from Portland. I recognized a face, a cashier from the Safeway where I sometimes shopped. Lot R4701. Her photo, her information, her price. This was real, completely horribly real. I heard a sound outside my window, a metallic creak, the fire escape. I froze. The fire escape that the listing had specifically mentioned as accessible from the alley. Were they already here? The buyers? The surgeons? I got up slowly, trying not to make any noise. I walked to my living room window. The curtains were closed, thank God, but I could see shadows through the thin fabric. Or maybe it was my imagination. Maybe it was just the wind moving the branches of the tree outside. I needed to think. I needed to... My phone rang. The ringtone pierced the silence of my apartment like an alarm. I almost screamed. I looked at the screen. Unknown number. Area code 503. Local to Portland. I shouldn't have answered. Every instinct told me not to. But my hand moved of its own accord, sliding to accept the call. Hello? Silence, but not empty silence. I could hear breathing, slow, deliberate. Who is this? My voice sounded high-pitched, scared, more breathing, and then a voice. Male. An accent I couldn't identify. Eastern European, maybe. Hoarse, as if he'd smoked 3 packs a day for decades. Good evening, donor. My blood ran cold. Your kidney is traveling tomorrow. To a very special client. Very sick. Needs organ, urgently. The voice sounded almost friendly, as if he were discussing the weather. Price already passed $170,000. Very good business for us, very bad for you. I don't know what you're talking about. This is a mistake. It's not a mistake, Caspian. He used my name, my full name. We have all your information. Stolen from Providence Hospital 3 months ago. 40,000 patients. You're one of them. Very lucky. Your blood is special. Type O negative. Very valuable. You can't do this. I'm calling the police. I'm going to... Police? He laughed. It wasn't a cruel laugh. It was worse. It was genuine, as if I had said something adorably naive. And what will you tell them? That you found your photo on an illegal organ market on the deep web? That you got an anonymous call? They have no jurisdiction. They have no way to track us down. They have no way to protect you. Someone has to be able to... No one can. We operate in 10 countries. Mobile surgeons, temporary clinics. By the time local police investigate, we've already changed locations. We've already completed the procedure." He paused. "And your kidney is already in someone else's body." I felt bile rising in my throat. I ran to the bathroom and vomited into the toilet. Everything I had eaten that night came out as my body rebelled against the terror. When I could breathe again, the phone was still in my hand. The call was still connected. I could hear that hoarse breathing waiting. "Why are you calling me?" I managed to say. "If you're going to do it anyway, why warn me? Professional courtesy. We give you a chance to prepare, say goodbye to family, write a will." Or, another pause, "You can run, hide, makes the experience more interesting. Price goes up when target is aware. Clients pay extra for challenge. You're sick. All of you are. We're in business. Nothing personal. Sleep well, Caspian." He hung up. I stayed on the bathroom floor, phone in hand, body shaking. The fluorescent light above me flickered. It always did, something I'd never bothered to fix. Now every flicker made me jump. I couldn't stay here. The apartment that the listing described as easy access was a trap. I had to leave. I stood up, my legs unsteady. I grabbed a backpack from my closet. I started stuffing things in without thinking. Clothes, my laptop, chargers, my wallet, important documents. My hands moved on autopilot while my brain tried to process. Where would I go? How long could I hide? What if they were right about the police not being able to help? I was zipping up my backpack when I heard the sound again. Metal creaking, louder this time, definitely in the fire escape. Someone was coming up. I turned off the lights in the apartment. I was in complete darkness, except for the glow of the streetlights filtering through the curtains. The sound was getting closer. Footsteps, slow, methodical. They knew exactly where to step to make as little noise as possible. My living room window faced the fire escape. It was locked. It always was. But it was an old window. The lock was just a simple latch. I saw the shadow first. A human silhouette on the other side of the curtain. Large, tall, hands touching the glass, testing it. I moved as quietly as possible toward the front door, backpack in hand, heart in my throat. I heard the click of the latch being forced, the creak of the window opening. I opened the front door and ran, down the hall, down the stairs. I didn't wait for the elevator, too slow. My footsteps echoed in the quiet building, but I didn't care. I stepped out onto the street. The rain hit me immediately, soaking me. Hawthorne Boulevard was almost deserted. It was past midnight on a Tuesday. The few businesses open were bars with scattered patrons. I ran. I didn't know where. Just away from my apartment. Away from whoever had just broken in. 3 blocks later, I stopped, breathing heavily, hiding under the awning of a closed store. I took out my phone. I needed to... What? Call someone. Who? My best friend Rafferty lived in Seattle. My parents were in Florida. I had no close family in Portland. And calling the police with a story about an organ market on the deep web sounded crazy. But I had to try something. I dialed 911. 911, what is your emergency? Someone just broke into my apartment. I'm outside. I need help. Are you sure there's an intruder? Did you see them? I saw their shadow. I heard someone force my window open and get in. What's your address? I gave it to her. The operator said she would send a unit. She asked me to stay in a safe, public place until they arrived. I walked back to my building, not inside, but staying on the street where there were people. A bar half a block away had some smokers outside. I stayed close to them, using their presence as a shield. 15 minutes later, a patrol car arrived. 2 officers. I told them what had happened, editing out the organ market part because it sounded too crazy. I just said I heard someone breaking in. They went upstairs to check my apartment. I waited downstairs, wet and shivering. When they came back down, one of them, Officer Pruitt, according to his badge, shook his head. There's no one in there. The window's open, but there are no signs of a struggle on the latch. It could have been closed improperly and the wind opened it. No, I closed it, I always do, and I heard footsteps. Did you see the person? I saw their shadow on the curtain. Sir. Pruitt sighed. It's a dark night. It's raining. The shadows of the trees can play tricks, and the building is old. It makes a lot of noise. Have you been under stress lately? Taken any substances? No, I'm completely sober. Someone was there. Well, there's no evidence of intrusion, but if you feel unsafe, you can install better locks. Or stay with a friend tonight if it makes you feel better. They left. Because of course, no visible intruder, no evidence, just another paranoid resident in an old building. I didn't go up to my apartment. I couldn't. Instead, I walked to a cheap hotel near downtown. I paid cash. I didn't want to leave a credit card trail. The room smelled of dampness and cheap disinfectant, but it had a lock and was on a third floor with no easy access from the outside. I sat on the bed, still in my wet clothes, and opened my laptop. I went back to the site. Mid-market premium. My listing was still there, but the price had gone up. Current price, $178,000. Current bids, 9. 2 more bidders in the last few hours. And a new note had been added. Update. Conscious listing target has fled primary location, active tracking in progress. Price increased due to difficulty of capture. Estimated delivery, 48-72 hours. Active tracking. They were actively looking for me. I checked the comments on the listing. There was a section where bidders could discuss, apparently. Buyer, 847. Is it worth the extra price? There are cheaper O kidneys. Buyer, 623. This one has a perfect clean record. Young, optimal for long-term recovery. Mine is a 6-year-old. Needs an organ that will last decades. I'll pay the premium. Buyer, 291. Confirming team is tracking. Has active cell phone. Location triangulating. Hotel on SW Park Ave. Team will arrive in 2 to 3 hours. My hotel. They knew where I was. How? My phone. I threw it away. Literally tossed it across the room like it was on fire. Of course, they had hacked my phone, probably when they called, or before. Maybe the malware had been there for weeks. But without a phone, how would I investigate? How would I communicate? I thought fast. The hotel lobby had a public computer for guests. I could use that. I went downstairs. The night clerk, a guy with acne named Dempsey, according to his name tag, barely looked at me. I used the public computer, opened a browser in incognito mode. I searched for news about medical hacks. I found what the man on the phone had mentioned. Providence Hospital, hacked in July, 40,000 patient records stolen. ID photos, complete medical histories, insurance information, everything. I'd gone to Providence for a routine checkup in June. Just before the hack, I kept searching. I found forums discussing the illegal organ market. Most said they were myths, but some, the ones who sounded more informed, confirmed that they existed, that they operated globally, that the victims were usually vulnerable people in third world countries, but that they were increasingly targeting premium products in developed countries. And if they were right about tracking me, I had to get rid of everything. My phone was already dead, but what else? My laptop, probably compromised too. My credit cards, they could track transactions. Even my clothes had RFID tags that could theoretically be tracked. I was being paranoid. But was I paranoid enough? I went up to the room. I took everything except cash and identification documents. I put it in the trash bag in the room. I went downstairs and threw it in the dumpster in the alley behind the hotel. Then I started walking. I needed distance. I needed time to think. I walked for hours, through empty, rainy Portland. I passed homeless camps under bridges. I passed closed shopping streets. I passed the dark and silent Willamette River. When the sun began to rise, I was at a 24-hour diner on the east side. I ordered coffee and pancakes that I couldn't eat. The place had free Wi-Fi. I used a borrowed laptop. I asked a college student at another table if I could quickly look something up, offering him $20. He agreed. I returned to the site using Tor. My listing had been updated again. Current price, $192,000. Current bids, 11. Update. Target evaded capture at the Roosevelt Hotel. Demonstrated awareness of electronic tracking. Risk level updated, medium-high. New approach, cash flow tracking, facial recognition on public cameras, access to Portland Transit System obtained, monitoring of known associates. Key associates identified, Rafferty Sloan, Seattle, WA. Best friend, frequent contact Winslow and Petra Mueller, Tampa, FL. Parents, Meadow Chen, Portland, OR. Ex-girlfriend, last contact 4 months ago. Powell's Books, employer. Monitoring for appearance, probability of contact, high. Preparing surveillance at associated locations. They had listed everyone. Rafferty, my parents, even Meadow, whom I had broken up with months ago. If I contacted them, they would be tracked. If I went to them, I would be captured. I was completely isolated. The student who lent me the laptop was looking at me strangely. I realized I was crying. Silent tears ran down my cheeks as I stared at the screen. "Are you okay, man?" he asked. "Yeah, just bad news." I handed the laptop back to him. "Thanks." I left the diner. I didn't know what else to do. How long could I live on the streets? How long before their facial recognition cameras found me? And then I thought of something. The listing mentioned that they had hacked Portland's transit system. TriMet, the buses, and light rail. But they didn't mention airports, or Greyhound, or Amtrak. I could leave Portland, go to another city, disappear. The Greyhound station was in Old Town. I walked there. I bought a ticket in cash for the next bus leaving. I didn't care where it was going. It turned out to be Sacramento. The bus was leaving in 40 minutes. I sat in the station trying to become invisible among the other travelers. 30 minutes. 20. 10. My paranoia scanned every face that came in. That man in the long coat, that woman with the laptop, the two guys who just came in together looking around. 5 minutes. They started boarding. I got up, ticket in hand, and then I saw the van. Black. No markings. Parking right outside the station, rear doors opening, 2 men getting out, big. The kind of build that comes from lifting weights religiously. Scanning the station with that look that says, "We're looking for someone specific." One of them took out a phone, looked at the screen, then looked directly at me. Our eyes met. He smiled. I dropped the ticket and ran. I went out the side door of the station. I heard shouting behind me, the men yelling, other passengers startled, but I kept running, back to the streets, turning down alleys, jumping over trash. My heart pumping so hard I thought it would explode. The footsteps behind me were steady. They weren't running. It was worse. They were following me at a deliberate pace, like predators who knew their prey would eventually tire. I turned a corner. I saw a cafe opening. I went in. I went straight to the bathroom. I locked the door. I breathed. I tried to think. I needed. Someone knocked on the door. "Occupied," I shouted. "Caspian." It was one of the voices from outside. Calm. Patient. "We can make this easy or difficult. You'd rather wake up after the procedure, no pain, no memory, or we can make it difficult. And believe me, it will be very, very difficult for you. Go away. I'll call the police. This bathroom has no windows, just a door, and we're on the other side. Time is on your side, not ours. The patient needs that kidney today. Every hour he waits, his condition worsens. I don't care about your patient. You should. He's a child, 6 years old, leukemia. He needs a kidney transplant to survive chemotherapy. His mother paid every penny she had, $192,000 for your organ. Are you going to let a child die because of your selfishness?" Guilt hit me like a punch, but then my brain cleared. This was manipulation. They were probably lying. Or even if there was a child, what about my life? Didn't it count? I looked around the bathroom. It was small. No windows, as he had said. Just the toilet, a sink, and a cracked mirror. Above, a suspended ceiling panel. For plumbing access, probably. I climbed onto the toilet tank. I pushed the panel. It moved. There was space up there. The actual ceiling of the building was about a meter higher than the false ceiling. I pushed myself up. It was a narrow, dark space full of dust and wires, but I could move. I crawled toward where I thought the front of the cafe would be. I heard the men struggling with the bathroom door, loud bangs, wood creaking. I kept crawling, my hands touching beams, insulation, things I'd rather not think about. The dust made me want to cough, but I held it in. I found another panel. I pushed it. It opened. I was above the kitchen area. The cafe didn't have any customers yet, just an employee setting up the espresso machine. I climbed down, landing hard on the kitchen floor. The employee, a girl in her 20s, with piercings named Juniper, according to her name tag, yelled. "Sorry," I said, running toward the back exit. I came out into another alley. I heard more shouting from the cafe. The men had broken down the bathroom door and discovered my escape. But I had the advantage now. I ran down the alley and emerged onto a main street. A TriMet bus, the number 15, had just pulled up to a stop. I got on without paying, ignoring the driver's protests. I dropped into a back seat as the bus pulled away. I looked out the window. The two men emerged from the alley just as the bus turned the corner. I saw their frustration. One was yelling into his phone, probably reporting my escape. The bus traveled down Burnside. I needed to get off soon. If they had hacked the TriMet system like they said, they would know which bus I had taken. I got off 3 stops later. I started walking again. I was exhausted. I'd been awake for almost 24 hours, running, hiding. My body couldn't keep going like this. I needed help, real help. I found a cafe with public computers. I paid for 30 minutes. I searched for lawyers specializing in cybercrime. I found one, Linnea Quaid, downtown office, decent reviews. I called from a payphone. Yes, there are still some in Portland. Quaid Law Office, a receptionist answered. I need to talk to Linnea. It's urgent. Life or death. Can you give me your name and... No, I can't give you my name, just... Please, I need help. Someone is after me. They stole my medical records and listed me on an illegal organ marketplace. I'm in real danger. Silence. Then, Sir, that sounds like a situation for the police, not a civil lawyer. The police can't help. This is international, deep web. Please just let me talk to... I'm sorry, but without an appointment and without being able to verify your identity, I can't. I hung up. No case. No one would believe me without evidence, and the evidence was on a tour site that the authorities probably didn't even know existed. I was alone, completely, utterly alone. I went back to the streets. The day was progressing, late now. I'd been on the run for almost 36 hours. My body was failing. I needed sleep. I needed to eat something more substantial than the coffee that was all I had consumed. I saw a homeless shelter, a line of people waiting outside for dinner. I joined them. No one asked any questions. No one gave me a second look. The food was watery soup and stale bread, but I devoured it. Then I asked about sleeping. They directed me to the bed area, basic bunk beds, but something. I lay down fully clothed. I held my backpack against my chest. The shelter was full of sounds, snoring, coughing, whispered conversations. But I was inside, relatively safe, my eyes closed. For the first time in days, exhaustion overcame terror. I woke up with a hand over my mouth. It was night. The shelter was dark, and someone was leaning over my bunk. "Quiet," whispered a voice. Male, unrecognized. "We're here for your own good." I bit the hand. The man cursed, pulling back. I rolled off the bunk, hitting the floor with a thud. I screamed, "Help! Someone help!" Lights came on. Other shelter residents woke up confused. Staff rushed in. The man who had grabbed me was backing toward the exit. He was wearing a doctor's jacket. In his pocket, I saw the glint of a syringe. He was going to drug me, right there, in the shelter, among dozens of witnesses. They were so desperate to complete the contract that they didn't care about being discreet. The shelter staff stopped him. "Who are you? You can't be here. I'm a doctor. This man needs medical help. He's confused, delirious. I'm his psychiatrist. He's lying, I shouted. I've never seen him before. He's trying to kidnap me. The staff looked unsure. The man looked professional. I looked, and probably smelled, like someone who had been living on the streets for days. Do you have identification? The staff asked the man. He searched his wallet. He opened it to show something. A medical card, apparently. Fake. It had to be. But it looked real. He's under my care, the man said calmly. Paranoid schizophrenia. He stopped taking his medication. Family hired recovery service. I have papers. No, he's lying. Call the police. Check his story. The staff called the police. While we waited, the man remained calm. Professional. Acting like a concerned doctor. I stayed as far away as possible, surrounded by other residents who looked at me with pity. The police arrived. Officer Kendrick, his badge said. He listened to both sides. The doctor had identification. He had a business card. He had papers that looked official. I had nothing. Just my crazy story about organ markets in the deep web. Do you have any identification, sir? Kendrick asked me. I had it in my backpack, but giving it to him meant confirming my identity. It meant they would be sure it was me. Yes, but can you show it to me, please? I had no choice. I took out my driver's license. Kendrick scanned it. He checked his computer. Caspian Hale. No outstanding warrants. No reports of being under psychiatric care. The doctor frowned. It's a private case. There would be no police record. Mr. Hale, is this man your doctor? No. I'd never seen him before he tried to drug me. He tried to drug you? He had a syringe. I don't have a syringe, the man said calmly. You can check my pockets. Kendrick did. He found nothing. Of course, he'd probably thrown it away when everyone woke up. This seems like a misunderstanding, Kendrick said finally. Doctor, I'm going to ask you to leave. Mr. Hale, if you have problems with harassment, you can file a formal report. The doctor nodded professionally. Of course, officer. I apologize for the confusion. He looked at me. I hope you find the help you need, Caspian. He left, and I stood there, knowing this wasn't over. Knowing they would come back. That they would keep trying until they succeeded. I couldn't sleep after that. I stayed awake, sitting on the floor of the shelter, watching the doors, jumping at every sound. When dawn broke, I left the shelter. I needed a new plan. I found a public library. I used their computers. I returned to the site. My listing had changed. Urgent update. Deadline accelerated, patient deteriorating. Price increased to $215,000. Bidding closed. Top bidder paid in full. Extraction team has received authorization for unconventional methods. Last sighting, SW Touristic 2nd Ave, downtown Portland, 7:23 a.m. today. Capture authorized in public location if necessary. Post-procedure cover story, accident. Subject will be found with post-mortem trauma consistent with fall or being struck by vehicle. Organ will be preserved during emergency transport that will never reach hospital. They were going to kill me. Not just take my kidney. They were going to kill me and make it look like an accident. And they were going to do it today, here, in Portland. Panic paralyzed me. I couldn't think. I couldn't breathe. Then I saw something else on the page. Other listings. Other faces. I recognized one, Jovian Brooks, a guy I'd seen at Powell's. He didn't work there, but he was a regular customer. Now he was listed. Lot R4801, Type B+, 31 years old, kidney function 94%. And another, Saffron Pierce, a waitress at the diner where I sometimes had breakfast. Lot L, Twin 193, partial liver, 27 years old. Dozens of people, hundreds, all from Portland, all from the same hospital hack, all in danger. And then I understood. It wasn't just me. It was a massive operation. They were hunting dozens, maybe hundreds of people simultaneously, if we all knew. if we all went to the police at the same time, if we made enough noise. I took screenshots of as many listings as I could. I uploaded them to a cloud storage service. Then I went to the nearest local news station, Coin 6. I walked into the reception area. I need to talk to someone about a story. It's urgent. Life or death. There's an organ market operating in Portland right now, hunting residents. I have evidence. The receptionist looked at me like I was crazy, but she called someone. A producer came down. Rowan something. He took me to an office. I showed him the screenshots. I told him everything. He listened. He took notes. And then he said, This is incredible, if it's true. But we need to verify it. Investigate. That would take days. Weeks. I don't have days. They're going to kill me today. If you're in immediate danger, you need to go to the police, not us. The police don't believe me. I need this to go public, now, so that everyone on these listings knows, so they can protect themselves. We can't publish something like this without verification. We'd get sued. It could be fake, photoshopped. Photoshopped? Why would I do that? I don't know. But this kind of story, we need time to investigate. I didn't have time. I got up. I left. On the street, I saw the black van again, parked half a block down, waiting. I ran in the opposite direction, but I saw another van in that direction too. They were closing in on me. I went into a store, Nordstrom, big, full of people. Surely they wouldn't try anything here. But then I saw one of them inside, the doctor from the shelter, walking casually between the clothing racks, phone in hand, tracking me. I took the escalator up, second floor, third. I looked down. 2 more were following me now, 4th floor. The elevator doors opened just as I passed. More of them coming out. How many were there? How many people had they sent? I found the emergency stairs. I started down, fast, my legs burning, ground floor. I went out onto the street, and there they were. A semicircle of them, 6, 7 people, blocking my escape. The doctor in front, smiling. It's over, Caspian. You ran well. Better than we expected, but the patient can't wait any longer. People on the street passed by, unaware of what was happening, or maybe thinking it was some kind of personal confrontation that was none of their business. Help, I shouted. These men are trying to kidnap me. A few people looked, but no one moved. This is Portland. People shouting strange things in the streets is sadly common. The circle closed in, hands grabbing me, too many to fight off. I felt the prick in my neck, the syringe, the cold liquid entering my bloodstream. The world began to spin. My legs gave out. The last thing I saw before everything went dark was my own reflection in the Nordstrom window. A man being dragged into a van while dozens of people watched and did nothing. I woke up with bright light in my eyes. White. Clinic. Smell of disinfectant. I tried to move. I couldn't. I was strapped to a stretcher. Straps on my wrists, my ankles, my chest. Awake, said a voice. The doctor. Now dressed in a real surgical gown. Faster than expected. The dose needs to be adjusted for your metabolism. Please, my voice came out raspy. Please don't do this. It's already done, Caspian. The client paid, the patient is waiting. This is a contract. It's murder. They'll find you, They won't find me. And it's not murder. Survival with 1 kidney is completely viable. You'll live. You'll just donate involuntarily. Someone else entered the room. Another person in a surgical gown. A woman, carrying a tray of instruments that glinted under the lights. Wait, I said, my panic rising. Wait, please. I need to tell you something about the site, about MedMarket. What about it? I took screenshots. Hundreds. I uploaded them to the cloud. I sent them to news stations, to lawyers, to activists. If you cut me off, if you complete this, that evidence goes public, with my name. My story. Everything exposed. I was lying. I'd only shown the screenshots to one person who hadn't believed me, but he didn't know that. The doctor hesitated. He looked at the woman. She shrugged. She could be lying. Or she could be telling the truth. And if she is, he took out his phone. He made a call. He spoke in a language I didn't recognize. Russian, perhaps. The conversation lasted several minutes. Tense. I could see his frustration growing. Finally, he hung up. "You're too much trouble, Caspian. The client is reconsidering. Too much risk now. Your profile has become too high." "So you're letting me go?" "No. But we're not proceeding today either. They need to reassess. Decide if it's worth the risk." They left me tied up. For hours. In that sterile room. No food, no water. Just waiting. Eventually, the residual drug knocked me out again. I slept restlessly, dreaming of scalpels and dollar prices. I woke up in an alley. Night. Rain falling. I was alone, still tied up, but the straps were loose now. I managed to free myself. My backpack was lying next to me. I checked. Everything was still there. My wallet, my ID, even some cash I had had. They had released me. Why? My phone, the one I had thrown away days ago, was in my jacket pocket. It was on, with a text message waiting. "You were more trouble than you were worth. Contract canceled." But others are still active. Sleep with one eye open, Caspian. You never know when we'll change our minds. I looked around the dark alley. I had no idea where I was. I staggered out onto the street. A sign said, SE, 82nd Ave. They had transported me across the city while I was unconscious, dropping me off in a random area like trash. I walked. I found a 7-Eleven that was open. The clerk let me use his phone. I called Rafferty in Seattle. Finally. "Caspian, where the hell have you been? I've been trying to call you for days." "Long story. Can you come get me? Or, I don't know. I need to get out of Portland." "Sure. Give me your location. I'll be there in 3 hours." I waited at that 7-Eleven. I drank bad coffee. I watched every passing car with paranoia. Rafferty arrived. He saw me, and his face contorted in shock. "God, you look terrible. What happened?" "I'll tell you on the way. Just get me out of here." We drove to Seattle. I told him everything. Everything. He listened, skeptical at first, then increasingly horrified. That's completely sick." "I know. And the police aren't doing anything." "They can't. Or they don't want to. I don't know which is worse." We arrived in Seattle at dawn. Rafferty's apartment was small but safe. He gave me clean clothes, a hot shower, the first real bed in days. I slept for 16 hours straight. When I woke up, I checked my phone. Dozens of missed messages, calls from unknown numbers, emails. One of the emails caught my attention, from Coin producer Rowan. "Caspian, I don't know if you're still alive or where you are, but we investigated your story. It's real. All of it. We found the site. We saw the listings. There are 237 Portland residents actively listed. We're running the story today. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. Please contact me when you can. Your testimony would be valuable." I opened my laptop. The one I had thrown away had been retrieved from the trash by Rafferty after I told him where it was. I went to the Keown news site. The top story. Exclusive. Illegal organ market targets Portland residents. Hundreds in danger. The story detailed everything. The hospital hack. The med market site. The listings. The prices. And it mentioned victims. Not by name, privacy, but numbers, statistics. But then I looked at the comments. Thousands of them. Most were shock and horror, but some. User 2Title847. Bad move to expose this publicly. Now they'll just move to another site, more hidden. User 9234. Those who were released because of their high profile are now targets again. Without media coverage, there is no protection. My stomach sank. What had I done? I returned to the original site using Tor, Med Market Premium. The homepage had a new banner. Due to recent exposure, this marketplace has migrated. Verified users will receive a new address via encrypted email. Operations continue as normal. I searched for my listing, lot R4756. It was still there, but with a new note, price reduced to $120,000 due to public exposure. However, target identified as source of leak. Acquisition priority, high. New timeline, 7 days. And below, dozens of new listings. Faces I recognized from the Portland area. People who probably didn't even know they were listed. Rafferty was looking over my shoulder. Caspian. There are like 100 new listings since yesterday. I know. Did we cause this by exposing the original site? I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe they were always there and now we just see them. I looked at my listing one last time. The timer counting down. 7 days. Then 6 days and 23 hours. Then 6 days and 22 hours. I closed the laptop. There was no real escape. I could run to Seattle, to another city, to another country. But my information was out there. On servers I couldn't touch. In the hands of people I couldn't find. My name is Merrick, and because of a stupid $50 bet, I spent 3 days being hunted like an animal by people who paid thousands for the privilege of terrorizing me. And the worst part, the part that wakes me up in a cold sweat every night, is that one of my best friends sold me out as bait. It all started in that WhatsApp group. The Degenerates, we called ourselves. 5 guys in their 30s who met in college and now barely saw each other except for the occasional beer and shared memes. I was the least successful of the group, a freelance programmer in Austin, Texas, living in a 1-bedroom apartment, surviving on ramen and low-paying projects. The others had real jobs, partners, lives that were moving forward. I was stuck. It was Friday night, almost midnight. I was on my couch, scrolling aimlessly, when Theron posted in the group, "Proposal. Everyone does a challenge this week. The most interesting one wins $50 from each of us, $200 to the winner." The responses came quickly. Quillan said he would do parkour in an abandoned building. Evander said he would eat the spiciest tacos in Austin. Shepard said he would talk to 10 strangers on the street and ask them for life advice. And then Theron wrote, "Merrick, you're the tech guy. Your challenge, go on the deep web, post something anonymous on a sketchy form, document what happens. Easy, right?" Everyone reacted with laughing emojis. I hesitated. I'd heard about the deep web, the stories, the black markets, the illegal content. I had never had a reason to go there. "Why me?" I wrote. "Because you're the only one who knows how Tor works," Theron replied. "Besides, you need the money more than we do. $200 would pay your internet bill for months." He was right, and I hated that he was right. "Okay," I wrote. "I'll do it." I downloaded Tor that same night. I set everything up according to tutorials I found. It wasn't difficult. The deep web isn't as complicated as they make it out to be. It just requires the right browser and knowing where to look. I started browsing. Forums of all kinds. Some boring. Tech communities, privacy activists. Others disturbing. Marketplaces for things I'd rather not see. I took screenshots of harmless stuff for the group, documenting my adventure. And then buried in a directory of links, I found one with a name that stopped me. The Hunt. The description was vague. For those who enjoy the game, serious members only. Something in my brain told me not to click. But curiosity and the need to win that bet won out. The site loaded slowly. Minimalist design. Black background. Phosphorescent green text in old terminal style. The header read, "The Hunt, where prey becomes entertainment." There wasn't much on the homepage, just a login button and a register button, and a message. "New players welcome. Game starts when you post." Game. Probably some ARG, I thought. Alternate reality game. Internet nerds role-playing hunters and prey. I clicked on register. It didn't ask for much, just a username. I put Lost Rabbit 47 because it sounded appropriately lost for a newbie. I entered the forum. There were several sections: active hunts, trophy gallery, rules and rewards, recruitment. Morbid curiosity made me open trophy gallery. It was a photo gallery, people in situations that seemed real. People running through streets, looking back with genuine terror on their faces. Captions like Hunt 342, duration 6 hours, or Trophy Madrid, resistance 810. Too elaborate to be fake, but too disturbing to be real. I opened rules and rewards. The text was clear. The hunt is a premium service where hunters, clients, pay to pursue prey, targets, in real urban environments. Rules: no killing, only terrorize. No permanent physical contact. Temporary marks allowed. Hunt lasts a minimum of 6 hours, maximum 72. Prey can surrender by contacting emergency number. Penalty: personal information sold to hunters for future entertainment. Hunters pay per hour of documented terror. More panic. More money. Recruiters who bring in new prey receive 30% of profits. My stomach churned. Recruiters, bring in prey. This couldn't be real. It had to be edgy roleplay. I decided to give it a try. I went to the general forum section and wrote a simple post. Newbie lost in the network. Any advice on how not to screw up? My thumb trembled over the post button. Something inside me knew that this was a bad idea, but logic won out. I was behind Tor, VPN all masked. No one could trace me. I pressed post. The screen went dark for a second. Then it came back. My post was there. No replies yet. I closed the laptop. It was 2 a.m. I took a screenshot of the post for the group, mission accomplished, losers, and went to sleep. I woke up to my phone vibrating like crazy. 7:23 a.m. Dozens of notifications from the WhatsApp group, but also notifications from an app I didn't recognize. Tor Messenger. I didn't even know I had installed it. I opened the app. 3 messages from usernames I didn't know. Hunter 923. Welcome Rabbit. See you at the corner coffee shop with your vanilla latte. My blood ran cold. The corner coffee shop, Bennu Coffee, 3 blocks from my apartment. Where I went every morning, where I ordered a vanilla latte. Coincidence? It had to be. Austin has millions of people, hundreds of coffee shops. I opened the next message. Hunter 446. Nice t-shirt. The one from the Radiohead concert in 19. How much did you pay for it? I looked down. I was wearing that t-shirt. I'd bought it at a concert 4 years ago. It was one of my favorites, worn and comfortable. How? The third message included a photo. It was me, walking down Congress Avenue yesterday afternoon. The photo was blurry, taken from a distance with a zoom lens, but it was unmistakably me. My Radiohead t-shirt visible, my backpack slung over my shoulder, my face in profile. No, 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 I whispered, jumping up from the couch so fast I felt dizzy. I ran to my laptop. I opened it. Tor was still open. My browsing from last night still on the screen, but now there was a pop-up over my post. Contract activated trophy 47 Lost Rabbit 47 Merrick Thorne. Location, Austin, TX address, my exact address. Difficulty level, novice, easy, base. Reward, 5,000 BTC for every hour of documented fear. Minimum duration 24 hours. Active hunters. Bidding, 8 rules of this hunt. Target is aware. Bonus for hunters. Multiple hunters allowed. Required documentation. Photos, video, audio of panic. Prey may surrender at any time. Penalty applied. Timer started 00. 47. How did they get my real name, my address? Then I saw it. In the corner of my screen, a little icon that hadn't been there before. A program running. LocationTrack.exe. I'd been infected. When I registered on the site, when I posted, I downloaded something. Malware that had bypassed my protections because I'd stupidly given it permission. My phone vibrated again. More photos. Me sleeping on my couch last night, taken through my window. Me in my kitchen this morning, making coffee. From the same angle. Someone had been watching me from the building across the street. I ran to the window. The curtain was open. I never closed it. I lived on the second floor. I looked at the building opposite. Dark windows. But in one, a glint. A camera lens reflecting light. I crouched down, moving away from the window. My heart was pounding so hard it hurt. This couldn't be happening. It was a prank. It had to be. Theron and the others playing an elaborate joke on me because they knew I was paranoid. I grabbed my phone. I called Theron, straight to voicemail. I called Quillen. Same thing. Evander. Shepard. None of them answered. The WhatsApp group was silent. No one had posted anything since last night. My laptop made a sound. Tor Messenger notification. Hunter, 923. Nice reflexes ducking down, but we have 6 angles of your apartment. Nowhere to hide, Rabbit. 6 angles. They had cameras in multiple locations watching me. Another message, this one with a video attachment. I opened it with trembling hands. It was drone footage, filmed last night. The drone had been hovering outside my window while I slept, so quiet I hadn't heard it. The video showed me snoring lightly, completely vulnerable. Hunter, 476. Sweet dreams you had. The last peaceful ones for a while. The hunt officially starts in an hour. I suggest you use that time to run. It makes the game more fun. 1 hour. What would happen in 1 hour? My phone rang. Unknown number. I didn't want to answer, but something compelled me to. Hello? Merrick. It was a male voice, electronically modulated. Welcome to the hunt. I'm Game Master. I wanted to explain the rules to you personally. This is illegal. I'm calling the police. Please do. We'll be listening. Your phone belongs to us now. And when the police arrive and find nothing, because our hunters are professionals and leave no evidence, you'll look like a paranoid lunatic. In the meantime, the hunt continues. What do you want from me? Entertainment. Fear. Rich people get bored, Merrick. Normal emotions don't affect them anymore. But watching someone, a real person, not an actor, running for their life, feeling genuine terror, that's worth millions. Why me? Because someone nominated you, your recruiter, and because you accepted the game by posting on our forum. I didn't know it was real. Ignorance is no excuse. You now have 1 hour before the hunters actively begin. I suggest you use your advantage. Run, hide, surprise us. The more defiant you are, the more the hunters pay, the longer the game lasts. There's a man in Dubai who paid $50,000 just for the first live stream of your panic. Don't disappoint him. He hung up. I was paralyzed for precious seconds. Then my survival instinct kicked in. I grabbed a backpack. I stuffed in my wallet, documents, portable charger, a jacket. Nothing else. There was no time. I ran out of my apartment, down the stairs. Not the elevator. Too obvious. The lobby was empty except for the doorman, an older guy named Desmond, who greeted me casually. Early morning for you, Merrick. Going to the gym, I lied, rushing past. I stepped out onto the street. The Austin sun was already warm. Morning traffic. People walking dogs. Everything normal. Everything terribly normal as my life fell apart. Where was I going? A friend's house. But they weren't answering. A hotel. They could track my card. A bus out of town. It would take hours to arrange. I started walking fast, aimlessly, just getting away from my apartment. My phone vibrated. Message from Tor. Hunter, you're 23. Good decision to leave, but where you're going is wrong. Hunters Alpha and Beta are already on your route. Turn left at the next corner if you want to avoid them. Were they helping me? No. Guiding me. Like a video game, making me dance. I didn't turn left. I turned right out of sheer stubbornness. I walked 2 blocks. Then I saw them. 2 men. casually dressed, jeans, t-shirts, baseball caps. But the way they looked at me as I passed, the recognition in their eyes, the slow smile that formed, hunters. I started walking faster, so did they. They kept their distance, maybe 10 meters, but they were clearly following me. My phone vibrated. Photo. It was me, taken seconds ago from behind, with the two men in the frame clearly chasing me. Hunter, Alpha, first photo of the day. The fear on your shoulders is delicious. How long until you run? I didn't give them the satisfaction. I kept walking, head held high, as if nothing was happening. But my heart was racing. My palms were sweating. Every instinct screamed, run. I turned a corner. A busier street. More witnesses. Surely they wouldn't try anything here. The men turned too. Closer now. One took out his phone, filming openly. People passed by without noticing. Or noticing and not caring. Just another guy filming something in Austin, city of students and content. Hey, one of them called. Friendly voice. Merrick, right? We want to talk to you. Something in his tone, too casual, too friendly for what was happening, broke me. I ran. Across the busy street, cars honking up the sidewalk, dodging pedestrians shouting insults. I didn't look back. I just ran. I heard their footsteps, heavier, faster, gaining ground. I turned into an alley. Mistake. It was a dead end. Trash cans, a high fence at the end. I turned around. The two men were blocking the entrance to the alley, smiling, one still filming. First trap of the day, said the one filming. Very predictable, rabbit. You need to be more creative. What do you want? My voice came out high-pitched, broken. They already told you. Entertainment. He started to advance slowly. I looked around frantically. The fence, it was high, but maybe... I ran toward it. I jumped. My fingers grabbed the top. I propelled myself with adrenaline I didn't know I had. I went over the fence, landing badly on the other side. My ankle twisted, sharp pain. But I didn't stop. Limping, I ran. I came out onto another street. This one was residential, quieter. My phone wouldn't stop vibrating. Messages, photos, videos, all documenting my panic. Hunter. Beta. Nice climb. 7 to 10. Injured ankle adds drama. Clients are delighted. Viewer 8274. Paying $1K extra for stream of next 30 minutes. I want to see him cry. Hunter 2923. Next checkpoint. Public library on 6th Street. Other hunters waiting. Can you avoid them? It was a game to them. A fucking video game with a real person. I hid in a public parking lot. Between two cars. Trying to breathe quietly even though my lungs were burning. I heard a buzzing sound. Subtle. Above me. I looked up at the sky. Drone. Small, almost invisible against the blue. But there. Filming me. We see you, came the message. I ran again. My ankles screamed with every step, but the terror was stronger than the pain. Hours passed like this. Running. Hiding. Being found. Running again. The hunters changed. New faces, same smiles. Like shifts. A nightmare tag team. I couldn't go to public places. They had drones, cameras. I couldn't hide. They found me with technology I didn't understand. My phone guided them, but I couldn't throw it away. It was my only connection, my only way of knowing where they were. When the sun began to set, I was destroyed. Exhausted, my ankle useless, covered in sweat and dirt from hiding in disgusting places. I crawled under a bridge where homeless people were camping. They looked at me with pity but didn't ask questions. On the streets, everyone has their demons. My phone, now at 3% battery, vibrated one last time. It was an email to my personal account. Not my Tor account, my real Gmail. The subject line read, "Congratulations, Trophy 47. I opened it with hands that barely responded. Merrick, you have survived 18 hours of basic hunt. Impressive for a rookie. The hunters are satisfied with the content. They have paid generously. You have two options. Continue the hunt. There are still 6 hours left on the minimum contract. More if the hunters pay for an extension. Surrender. Contact the emergency number. The hunt ends, but your information remains in our system for future games. Decide quickly. Night hunters are more creative. Game Master PS. Your recruiter sends his regards. Theron has earned $15,000 for bringing you in. He says, "Thanks for being so predictable, Theron, my friend, the one who proposed the challenge, the one who pushed me to enter the deep web. He had sold me out. The pain of that betrayal was worse than anything physical." Theron knew. The whole group probably knew. The bet, the challenge, all designed to get me here. My phone died. Black screen. Silence. I was left in the dark under the bridge, listening to the city above, knowing that somewhere, rich people were watching streams of my suffering while eating $1,000 dinners, and that even if I survived tonight, this would never really end. 'Cause once you're a trophy, you're always in the system.